And if you can't find me, you may never want to find me again. Cause people don't understand. People don't understand. People like me.
Konnichiwa, bitches. How you doing today? It is Tuesday night, and we are here for episode 16 of the Barroom Podcast. I got a full cast of critters here tonight with us. Our lovely loyals, our lovely regulars who are here to talk about the news of the week. And there's a lot of news to talk about this week. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. Our good friend Orange Hat Reviews is back for another episode. How you doing today, O?
Good doing, man. Good doing.
Our good friend Rob Motto, who is recovered from last night's tragedy, and who is back with us tonight. How are you feeling tonight? Much better than last night?
I'm very tired because I stayed up later than I should have last night, and yep, it's just first day after a tough loss. Let's go.
Yep. I had those nights before where I stayed up way too late too, and then try to get up and do the work thing for like 7 hours, 8 hours. Next night, it's like, yeah, this is a bad idea.
Yeah,
but we power through it. Then, of course, we have our very own Selena, who's joining us here tonight. How you doing, Selena?
Oh, wonderful. I'm not dead, shockingly. I'm here to be with you also.
Mm-hmm.
And I stay up way too late as well. But watching TikTok, like the special asshole that I am, came back from the dead, discovered this fucking thing called TikTok, and I realized that the IQ of society has deteriorated a lot since I died. So, very concerning.
And then, of course, joining us once again, the star of last week's show, it is Nerd Against Cat. How you doing?
We're doing good. I'm very sad that my dumb butt decided to, against my better judgment, drop Tua and start Carson Wentz instead. And I lost because my opponent decided to have Josh Allen and Diggs and the freaking Buffalo Bills defense. I could have had freaking Waddle and Tua in my starting lineup, but
sounds like a pretty rough night for you. Not as rough as Rob's night, but just rip for your fantasy team, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So the irony is that I actually had the highest scoring week because I had Stephon Diggs starting last night with 217 points in my league. So it was like it was just a complete opposite from being an actual football fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you had to get something good out of last night's game. But not a whole lot of things went right last night. I mean, they had the Titans' terrible performance. Minnesota had a shit show. Raw apparently lost like 700,000 viewers. I mean, it was just a bad night for everyone overall. But we're here tonight to talk about some good things, or it depends on if you think they're good things or not. We're here. There's a number of things that happened in the last 24 hours. It's always one of those weeks where, like, when I prep for the show on Monday and get all of our topics together, it's like, it feels like a really slow week. And then all of a sudden, hours before we go live on the air, everything just pops off. It's like, okay, so I guess we'll have a couple more things to talk about. Let's go ahead and start off the show talking about Frosk being fired from G4. We got confirmation today that Frosk is no more on G4's payroll. So for you guys who haven't been following this whole thing, let me just rewind it back to last December. G4 relaunched after being pretty much defunct for about 13 years. And decided, hey, we're going to come back and we're going to revamp our channel on Twitch and on YouTube and other outlets. And about 3 weeks into the relaunch, this chick named Frosk, who I'm pretty sure not too many people heard of beforehand, but maybe if you knew her from a couple of the other events that she had done with Twitch and in the gaming community, she went on a rant complaining about how the people in the comments section of the videos were saying that she's not as hot as Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb, which is objectively true. So I don't know why you'd be upset about that. But then she went on this whole rant about sexism in gaming, and I think G4 pretty much died immediately afterwards. They got a whole bunch of negative attention. For what I heard, that the executives were pretty much pissed off right from the jump, but they couldn't just come out and I guess fire her because that would be bad optics, especially in certain LGBTQ communities, because she is a lesbian, by the way, just in case you didn't know that. Shocker. So they waited and waited, and now the bloodbath has occurred. Kotaku, of all places, got the scoop that she is now gone from the network. So if they're reporting on it, that is true. Last week there was major layoffs from the network. They've been cutting a lot of staff. A lot of people are on the way out. There's word that Kevin Ferreira, who's one of the guys who's probably been with G4 the longest, like he was the guy who was with G4 when they originally launched back in 2002. That's how long he's been around. And he's looked like he's on the way out. There's a lot of guys behind the scenes, like executives and people who worked on the shows are going to be gone soon. Essentially, they want to increase their revenue and cut costs. And I don't know how much money G4 was really making before this, but it couldn't possibly have been a lot. But she's on her way out. She's pretty much done here. And it's pretty funny because she actually did a tweet last week that obviously rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because as other people were being fired, she wrote some kind of tweet saying that she had survived, basically bragging about the fact that, you know, she was still around, and all the trolls on the internet didn't get their way. Well, it looks like they finally got their way now. She is done. I don't know what is going to come of G4 now, because you're talking about a network who, keep in mind, like, 2010 got pulled off of networks like DirecTV and other services because they had no value in the network at that point in time to begin with. And now you're trying to relaunch it 13 years later when things like Twitch exist, things like YouTube exist. You don't really have a platform for what you're trying to present. You were great as a digital cable channel back in 2002, but in 2022, you really don't have much for the place. Then burning your bridge with your non-existent audience probably wasn't the smartest move to go about that. So before we get into the discussion here, I wanted to go ahead and talk to some of the guys in the chat, because there was one person here, Chirping Critics, who asked, where is CS Johnson? And before I had a chance to say that she's not here, guess who popped up? So she's back with us here.
Yay.
Woo! What up?
Sorry. Hey, sorry it's late. We had cat drama.
Oh yeah, we've already got way too much cat drama on this show for our liking.
Mine snuck out last night apparently.
Oh,
we didn't figure this out till like 5 o'clock.
That's potentially bad.
Yes, he just got back, so we're good.
So let's go ahead, and I want to start this one off with Cassie, because I know you just had a little tweet about this one right before we went live on the air. So what is your thoughts on G4 finally getting rid of Frosk after 9 months after her rant that killed the network? And what do you think about just the direction of G4 now that everything's falling apart?
It's pretty obvious that G4 was all in on Frosk, up until they pretty much went bankrupt practically at this point, after losing it all, because she was allowed to make all these like fucked up tweets that literally just throws jabs at the people they're trying to actually, get to watch their product that they have to offer. They've been completely fine with it this whole time. And I mean, the reality is Frost's actions has led to people getting laid off. And when that did happen, she tweeted out saying, I'm safe or whatever the fuck. And it's like, I'm still here. And it's like, wow, you prove every chance that you get that you don't give a fuck about anyone but yourself. But it, literally 5 days later after tweeting that, she gets laid off herself, and she deserves it for many reasons, not just because she's a bitch, but that is a big reason why. But the reality is she had absolutely nothing to offer G4 TV. She was simply there to fill a check mark. And just so y'all know, she's not a tomboy. We don't claim her. She's a fucking idiot. She can be by herself in her own little group, I guess, with Brie Larson or whatever. But yeah, in terms of being knowledgeable, she's not knowledgeable. I don't even think she plays video games. Could be wrong, but press X to doubt. All right, that's literally how I feel about that. She gets shit wrong all the time. She plays the fanboy wars. She's like an Xbox fan and like finds all these little weird reasons to just throw jabs at PlayStation. She said that Xbox was going to completely destroy PlayStation this generation. It's just like, oof. You are G4 TV. Stop playing the fanboy wars. You are never going to compete with the YouTube or any of the gaming community when it comes to fanboy wars. So just stay in your fucking lane, just distribute straight news, get exclusive interviews, go down that front, because they tried to play the console wars and they took the biggest L of a fucking lifetime with that. And Frosk is the big reason why. This is just the meme where I just posted one where female in hospital after learning what accountability is. Like
Yeah.
that's literally her. Like I don't think she's learned accountability, but when she does, or if she is now in silence, it's gonna hit her hard. She deserves everything that she gets. I have no sympathy toward her. I have sympathy towards people that were genuinely just trying to do their job at G4 TV. And, unfortunately, G4 TV is a sinking ship. If you haven't been laid off already, jump off while you still can, because it's going down.
Orange Chat, I have a question for you real quick. Do you think that if they had just gotten rid of Frosk right after that rant, like maybe a couple of days after it happened and just announced it all together, do you think that G4 could have salvaged this, or do you think that this was pretty much DOA the second they tried to reboot this?
After her freaking rant when they first got her on, if they're like, oh yeah, this bitch is nuts, she does not reflect our statements whatever or whatsoever, folks. We are so sorry we put this freak on here. And I say freak under the definitive sense, folks, acting in a freakish manner.
Yep.
Just so any of you crazy assholes out there don't get offended. And if you do, I don't care. But the thing is, if they would have done that, it would have been fine. They would have been like, okay, we just had a small hiccup in intelligence, moving on. But no, they kept this woman. She kept on spewing her shit. She kept on getting a bunch of stuff wrong, making not just her, but when you are an employee of that place, you're one of their representatives as well. So now you're making them look like idiots because you're making them look like they don't know shit because you don't know shit. And then when they started doing the layoffs, and she's like, I survived. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that tweet, like I said on Twitter, aged like sour milk.
Yeah.
Because that's all that Frosk is, sour milk.
It's like standing in front of like the building you set on fire while all the other people are trying to escape.
Yeah, but it's mostly a peaceful protest.
Yeah, that's true. According to CNN, at least. Let me pose this question to the rest of you guys. Our good buddy Neo here says, do you think that this is karma to Frosk and others at G4 for bashing the fans? Because let's be honest, it wasn't just her. Adam Sessler says some very off-the-wall shit, but I mean, he is an OG of the OG. Yeah, exactly. He is OG of the network, so I can understand at least them bringing him back, think that he was going to like bring back old school fans. I say he probably would have been better off bringing back Morgan Webb than him. Kevin Ferreira has said a lot of off-the-wall stuff. Now, the thing with Kevin is that he was smart enough to actually delete his tweets before the relaunch happened. But now that he's going to get let go, apparently he's going to be leaving in October. You'll probably see more of his true colors coming up in the next few months. But the question here is, do you think that this was karma for them, or do you think there'll be more karma, not just for G4, but everyone like CNN and other news stuff from pretty much the crap that they've pulled over the last few years?
Well, it's not karma. Like, it's not karma. It's bad business. Like, it was bad business to sort of like come out and like to just take those wild swings that were just basically psychological projection. And the last time we talked about this, I thought the person's name was Frost, like the Mortal Kombat character or whatever. But whatever, it's not important. And I think G4 is an outdated model because this is at a time when like, gaming magazines were still in vogue, like Electronic Gaming Monthly and Game Pro and Game Informer. Cheat codes. The gaming industry itself has changed to make G4 obsolete. So I just don't think that they have to severely change their business model if they're going to succeed and sustain any kind of success in the modern world.
I miss cheat codes. If they brought back cheat codes, I'd actually get back into gaming.
I mean, but the thing is, with gaming now, cheat codes are just, are you willing to pull out your Visa? That's all cheat codes are now.
Yeah. It's like, cheat codes back when they were free and awesome? Awesome. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, like I said, I'm retired for a reason.
Yeah, I think that they could have managed to at least get by just simply trying to appeal to the people they're selling their product to. Like actually being part of the gaming community in a reasonable way, not bashing men, which like, I mean, for me personally, men, my analytics account for like 99% of my viewer base. Imagine if I just went on a male bashing spree, how that turned out for me. I mean, these people just lack any and all fucking common sense at all. Like, they're just clueless. They think that they are right morally and that somehow that's going to translate to doing,
success,
prospering. It makes zero sense at all. Whether they want to believe it or not, the hardcore gaming community accounts mostly of men. Women play video games as well, but they're not like super hardcore into gaming. They just play very casually, which is completely fine. But there's always this argument, well, women account for half of the gaming community. It's like, yeah, but they play extremely casually. The people that actually want to know the news, all the stuff, all the intricacies of gaming are mostly men. I'm in a male, like, my content caters to the gaming space. I'm surrounded by mostly men. It just is what it is, and it's cool because I get by.
I mean, not now, but yeah, in general.
No, but like, I'm cool with it because I can appeal in a way that, despite being a female, I can be one of the boys, and it's all chill. So I prosper in that way. G4 has had no interest in appealing to the mass majority of the base, which is men. They were completely okay with Frosk doing her bullshit, and it cost them. And I think that they could have had their little space in the indie gaming space. I think that they could have. It wouldn't have been like a mega business by any means, but they could have lasted a while, I would think.
I'll give this one to Nerdigans and Johnson here before we wrap this one up. I don't know how strong you guys are into the gaming universe. I know you have a big thing with like the anime and the manga universe. So I wanted to ask you just your thoughts generally about Frosk and just the direction of G4 and kind of what your thoughts of where they go next.
Well, if G4, because here's the thing with G4, they could have done something similar to like what NFL Fantasy is doing, because you have multiple fantasy football shows, and a lot of my friends, because when I got onto social media, that's what I was doing it for, was her fantasy football. I've been on TV a couple of times because of it. I was that involved. But a lot of my friends in the fantasy football community, they started out originally on NFL Fantasy Live, and it's changed so much. It went from like a straight up like a show, like kind of like how G4 had like Attack of the Show and stuff, when it was just a straight up TV format, to now it's more like a podcasting format. They could have gone, and it still, shows on NFL Network. You could still do something like that, but G4 went about it the wrong way. And also, NFL Network does not attack their fandom. They don't. Yeah. They still have, they do have women on there, even though the majority of people that play fantasy football are men, but there's still a lot of women that play fantasy football, and the women look good on there. They look like women. They don't look masculine. They don't attack their fan base either.
They go to a dentist.
They go to a dentist. But like, hell, even look at the football telecast too. The women that you see in the football telecast, they look gorgeous. They look feminine, even though the majority of people that watch football are men. They know who their audience is. And it's just so dumb that G4 can't figure that out either. You don't have to have like the man show kind of shit that that they did back in the day. I know the man show was different, but you know what I mean? You don't have to do, you could still like change it up and fit it to today's settings. You can still do that.
But take notes from Fox News.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's literally the Fox News model. That's exactly what it is. So I didn't know if Johnson considers herself to be a gamer, if she had any thoughts on this one before we move on.
All right, sorry about that. Got a stray kid. So
fussy Mr. Man.
No, yeah, my kids aren't furry.
Well, don't worry. We'll give you a chance to get your kids settled here. I do want to give a quick little shout out here to all of our guys in your chat. I forgot to shout you guys out at the beginning of the show. So Kabuto, Mr. Spencer, thanks for joining us. You'll wait just like the rest of us. Duke Nukem, who's always in the chat, shouting us out. Neo, who's here, chirping critics in the chat. right now. Josh, who actually used to be on this show, I wonder where Josh is right now. COVID. BC, the Dark Shadow, is in the chat with us already. We also have Hustle and Motive joining us in the chat. So we got a few guys, our normal viewers, who are joining us tonight. So thank you all for joining us, and we're glad that you're here. I think we just lost Orange Hat for a second. He'll be back in a second. But he probably sensed what was coming, because now it's time to talk about our boy, Mr. Ezra Miller, ladies and gentlemen, who is back. More stuff in the news about Ezra Miller just being a complete psychopath. And apparently he reportedly screams and belittles his female sexual partners who are part of his so-called court harem. So, look, we've talked about this dude for so long. I don't think there's anything truly surprising about Ezra Miller up to this point. But I think I've turned the leaf on Ezra Miller. I really think I do. I've hated this guy for years. I was kind of despised him when I saw the Gal Gadot video. There's like, this guy's definitely trouble. I don't know how anyone else didn't figure this was going to happen. And I've gotten to this point now where it's like, it's almost like Tom Brady. You can only hate someone so much before you just throw up your hands and be like, this guy's the greatest of all time. Because this guy's probably pound for pound the number one psychopath running the streets of the world right now. Apparently he's using his, I guess, they, them pronouns to kind of shield himself from any kind of not only criticism, but legal repercussions for his actions. Some of the notes here from this Yahoo article says that he screams and belittles his women that he is sexually involved with, even though he tries to play it up as if he's a gay they, them, even though he's clearly not. He says that he controls all the sex as the man, his friend reports, and they described his sexual lifestyle as polycule, which I don't even have the time to figure out what the hell any of that means. But apparently this guy has a court of young women, which he pretty much, I guess, verbally abuses and sexually abuses and all kinds of things behind the scenes. But don't wait. There's more here. That's not the only thing. He also has illusions of grandeur, considers himself to be Jesus and the devil. And I heard one story saying that apparently he thinks that he's married to like some kind of like spider queen, that he probably, I don't know, maybe he's on like DMT and he's talking to like spider women or something like that. That's the only thing I can gather after that. But yeah, I mean, the guy is facing burglary accounts. He's facing accounts of grooming women into his weirdo lifestyle. And he's just going all around the place, just doing all kinds of wild things. And now he's literally running around somewhere in Vermont with a bulletproof vest, dressed as 50 Cent, calling himself Jesus and the devil simultaneously. So I don't really know if there's anything more to say about this one at this point. I'll start with you, Rob. What do you think about our boy Ezra Miller being the greatest pound for pound, just absolute lunatic of all time?
You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I just don't. I don't want to say I don't care, but I have nothing left to say or to give regarding this story. He's a psychopath, and the fact that you guys were right, I was wrong when I was like, well, maybe Warner Brothers doesn't know, and they're just trying to kind of manage the situation. No, they're culpable now because they're basically trying to like sweep it all under the rug and still release this movie. And it's like the blood that potentially is on their hands, or like all these women that have been like seduced or manipulated or whatever. And again, I tend to be on the side of free will. You know, people have a free will to do what they want. But yeah, this guy's such a weirdo. I mean, he just comes off as a bizarre individual. And I'm very accepting of bizarre individuals as long as you're interesting and you're not hurting people. But obviously that's not the case with him. So I don't have much to say. He seems like a real fucked up guy, and I wish he would get help, but he's not going to because he has enablers.
Anyone else want to jump in on the enigma that is Ezra Miller?
Dude needs to be in a fucking nut house. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say, it's times like this I wish I was more famous because I would get Kill the Flash off trending on Twitter.
Yeah,
there you go.
So,
yeah, CS is all in on this Kill the Flash trend right now, which I'll give it a couple more months. You'll have a lot more people on your side at this point.
I mean,
I saw a couple people suggesting it the other day when this came out, so I was like, yep, I'm just a genius ahead of the curve here. Kill him off.
The man is claiming he's Jesus. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he is nuts. Yes, I'm calling him he. Deal with it. I don't respect his pronouns.
Nor do I.
Just real quick,
I call him he. I call him he all the time.
This shit is
It's
nuts.
so hilarious watching all of these news outlets try to cover this, but they're still calling him they them. It's like so you pretty much admit that this guy's a complete menace to society, but you're still trying to respect his pronouns. Like, how many people does he have to sexually assault before he'd be like, okay, can we just stop with the charade now?
It's like, dude, it's like the same people. I have to bring up the Yamato thing because it pisses me off. These mofos that are trying to say Yamato in One Piece is trans are like, well, Kaido respects Yamato's pronouns. It's like, bitch, Yamato, he put bombs on Yamato's wrist and imprisoned her on an island. And you want to say respect to this mofo because he respects her pronouns? Like, give me a goddamn break. Can't stand people like.
Yeah, it goes to show how Hollywood is. They're blatantly going out of their way to cover this dude up, all the bullshit that he's done. And it's like this dude, and a lot of people thought I was kind of being a little hyperbolic when I was comparing him to Manson. But he has a thought process of a Charles fucking Manson. Like, I can tell the signs pretty early on. You know,
Manson claimed he was Jesus.
Danger again.
Yeah. It's a lot of correlation between Charles Manson at, you know, his most infamous and this individual. And Hollywood is so bold as to think we can cover this shit up and we'll get away with it. We'll let it slide. And it's absolutely disgusting. It's why I have no respect for any of these motherfuckers. If it be the U.S. government that protects them in conjunction with Warner Brothers and these companies, fuck all these companies, fuck all these actors and all these people that want to pass judgment on us when we're just trying to be regular ass people out here. They're the fucking weirdos. Or they defend or just let the weirdos slip through the cracks. And there's some of the absolute worst that society has to offer. And I'm just sick of it. Like, I'm sick of the cover-ups. I'm sick of them having, you know, I guess, privilege, wealth privilege.
Yeah.
I'm so sick and fucking tired of it. Exactly. They have fame or wealth privilege or both. And people just let this shit fly by. And it's like, I bring it up all the time. And it's like, everyone else like around us just doesn't want to talk about it. They'd rather listen to what our government tells us to have us bickering with each other, when it's like, you know, we live in a fascistic society, right? Where these rich people all work together and they're all the worst of society, but you're going to take their talking points just so regular people like us can fight with each other. It's fucking stupid. Like, I'm so over it, man.
The way that I see it is this dude does belong in a nut house, but he also does belong in jail for the assault, the felony, burglary, and all that stuff. He does belong in jail. This person needs to undertake actual accountability, not to get a slap on the wrist coddling mental institution. He needs jail, because one thing, when you're in jail, you actually do have access to mental health services, contrary to popular belief. They actually do have a person come to your cell. Don't ask me how I know that. But anyway, also, this dude says that he's apologized. He didn't mean shit when he apologized. No. Because witnesses pointed this out, and thanks to Bounding into Comics for also pointing this out or reporting on this. Witnesses saw him. He's like, yeah, I don't really care about the bad press. So then what? Yeah. Your apology is for shit then. Why do you think you have all this bad press? Because you're a motherfucking psycho, Ezra. Yep. And this dude has menaced people across 4 countries: US, Germany, Iceland, and the UK. Yeah. And it's like 4 freaking countries this person has broken the law in and allegedly broken the law in. And and Hollywood's constantly defending him. I'm sorry.
Not to mention, he may literally have a very active cult ongoing in the United States of America right now.
He has so many freaking defenders. And it's like, you are seriously not helping, because you are defending a person who is like Cassie said, this person has a fucking Jesus complex like Manson did. His
I'd be more worried
followers
about the
literally
Satan words,
acknowledged him as Jesus Christ. Not only for all you religious folk out there, is that a cardinal sin? I mean, it's one of the isn't that like one against one of the 10 commandments? You're only supposed to believe in one God, but
No idols.
yeah, no false idols. And it's like, dude, you say that you're the devil? I have seen far worse people. One thing I honestly wish, and I'm not going to say this as an actual so that this happens. I would love to see some of these celebrities who think they're all big and bad to come up into my area, to come up into an area where they don't care if you are rich and powerful. If you freaking step out of line, if you upset the beautiful balance and nice atmosphere that we have up here, we will beat the freaking shit out of you. And I'm not saying that because I want to. No, I don't want to beat up Ezra Miller because he's an idiot.
I just want to point this out real quick. You're talking about the same people who, when 50 immigrants went to Martha Vineyard, they literally called the National Guard.
Yes.
So they're not exactly
these are these kind of people. And you think that you're all big and bad. You can't even handle freaking 48 immigrants.
I mean, it's important. It's important for us to keep reminding everyone that this guy is a piece of shit, and basically his stuff is getting swept under a rug by these giant organizations. And I throw the U.S. government and all these other governments that he's broken, like all the places where he's broken the law, their governments also working in conjunction. I mean, yeah,
he's
exactly.
Made a mockery out of all of them.
You know, mock and shame,
and that's why it's like, forget it. And that's why it's like he's pretty much at supervillain status right now, because it seems like anytime like anyone tries to label any criticism of him, just like we saw in that arrest video, he immediately falls back to my pronouns are they, them, and it's like, and it's working.
Transgender, non-binary. That's a contradiction, you idiot.
But that's the thing, though. If you're a complete psychopath like this guy clearly is, and he's like, well, if I just use they, them pronouns, no one's going to touch me. He's pretty much trying to test the waters to see how much he can get away with. And he's gotten away with quite a lot so far just by using those.
And not only that, the real tragedy, if I may, I'm sorry, Cass, to cut you off, but the real tragedy is a lot of the allegations against him and the charges against him have been dropped.
Yep. The fact this guy has a superiority complex, no doubt. The fact that he's, you know, it seems to me as though he's getting away with this shit. And look at how far he's gotten, and he's getting away with it. There is no doubt in my mind that at some point he's going to do something even worse than what he's done thus far. And who knows if we know everything? I doubt we know everything. I'm sure there's still plenty more out there that he's done that is probably disgusting and irredeemable about him. More, I would think. Just because this guy has this superiority complex and he thinks that he could do whatever the fuck he wants to do. The fact that he's going to get away with all this shit, there's no doubt in my mind that it's only going to get worse from here.
I mean, he's running around with a bulletproof vest.
It won't stop until someone is dead. Watch.
Yeah.
I'm probably not even stop after that. That's being optimistic.
This is true. I mean, this is a dude that's freaking out because Susan Sarandon won't visit his little altar at his house. It's like, oh my God, she has to come here. What are you even talking? Dude, did you take your weed or did you take your latest dose of weed or whatever? Oh my God,
I think he's on DMT. I think that might be part of the problem. But I was going to say this real quick. When Rob sent me that story about the Susan Sarandon, I literally went, oh my God, he's literally doing the Roman Reigns acknowledge me bit in real life.
Yeah, it's like, freaking notice me.
Exactly.
No.
I find it very ironic that we live in an era where like a superhero on film on the screen is actually in real life like a supervillain. And he's super protected. So
yeah,
I'm kind of amused by it, but I feel really bad for the victims.
Yeah, I want to paraphrase from a movie that he was in that also was an unused line. I mean, it was only used in the trailer. We live in a society where insanity is too much embraced. Isn't that right, Ezra?
Yeah. This guy deserves zero respect. As far
damn
as I'm
straight.
concerned, I will mock and shame him. Nobody should respect this guy. Nobody.
As
And
long as
honestly, it's just that this is somebody that we must make sure that society does not look up to, because there's absolutely nothing to look up to in regards to him.
I mean,
I will say everybody in America gets their the right to due process. I say let's go ahead and process that list then, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So
now, also, they are what Cassie said. A lot of people will probably come at us saying, "Well, isn't that cancel culture?" No, honestly, no. In this case, this is what's known as accountability culture.
Yeah. I
mean,
it's
you what the left always says cancel culture is accountability. But no, this is someone literally acting like a complete destructive, manipulative piece of shit. And them actually being held accountable, not, oh, we're going to like take their rights away. They have every right to do what they want, which is why they're being held. Well, they're not being held accountable, but they deserve that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we're not talking about someone getting knocked off of Twitter for a tweet that was deemed offensive. We're talking about like legitimate crimes that are being committed over the span of like several countries. So
assaulting women, nearly killing a woman,
throwing a chair at a woman's face,
threatening women. This dude is literally a danger to women.
Mm-hmm.
He's a menace to society, but when it comes to women, he is a valid threat.
Oh yeah,
to women.
It's very clear this dude has some deep-seated issues with women that are just not being addressed whatsoever right now. But maybe we'll address those when he gets the Good Morning America interview, where he tries to get people to go see his movie next year. So Flash 2 coming out next summer. Go support it.
Flash 2.
I want
what
like a
happened to Flash
10-minute
1?
montage, like slow minute montage by Zack Snyder, where he gets like just kicked in the balls repeatedly. So there you go, David Zucker, whatever he is.
I mean, as much as I like the Snyder cut to a point, it's like he is actually one of the weakest links to it. His character is very important, but he plays a bad version of that character. He's not a good actor.
I will say this: if we can kill off John Connor in the first 5 minutes of a Terminator movie, we can kill off Ezra Miller's Flash. Boom. That's all I say. So, hashtag kill Ezra Miller's Flash. I'm gonna put all the blame on Johnson.
And hashtag kill the Flash.
So I can't let this topic go without being a contrarian a little bit, and I will say that we have to talk about Kevin from like 2011, where he plays an absolute sociopath, like demented child who like does. It's still like the best performance of his career. It's still one of the best horror movies I've seen in terms of how effectively creepy it is. But I feel like he was good in that because he really was as fucked up as that character. So, and I think we're seeing that play
did it better.
But to also be a contrarian, I can say that now that we know that he clearly wasn't acting. So
there you go.
I gotta say it's too bad we don't have Celebrity Deathmatch anymore, because we could get him and Frosk in a little.
Oh my god!
Oh, that would be an insult to even Frosk, to be completely honest. True. I mean, this dude's freaking out. This dude is freaking out because a cop is searching him, and they're pulling out fucking rubber Nerf bullets.
Yeah. To be fair to Frosk, I mean, she's just insufferable. But Ezra Miller is like literally doing like the get rich or die trying in real life. So I mean,
when he self-claims he's the devil, it's like, dude, you're as repulsive as the devil. But I've seen people that make you look like a fucking choir boy, to be honest. But you are about as repulsive as the devil. I will give you that.
I just want to make a note too that exorcisms have been up. Reported exorcisms have been up.
Well, like somebody needs to schedule him an exorcism.
In the last couple years.
An exorcism period.
So, I think that probably has to do with the fact that so many people think it's a good idea to dabble in the occult now, because they've been led to believe, oh no, God's not real. We don't have to worry about any of this.
It's because of TikTok, man.
TikTok is just
I'm staying away from it. I've seen the stupidity that comes out of TikTok. The CCP has created a disease.
You realize there's a trend now where people are literally cooking chicken with NyQuil, right? You realize that's a thing?
You know what?
Happening?
You know what? I didn't
What are
know
they
that
doing?
on TikTok. I've discovered that on Twitter. So it's Twitter that's bad. All I see on TikTok is dog and cat videos all day, every day. So
that's
I've
your
seen
algorithm.
a lot of gender insanity videos come out of TikTok and posted on Twitter.
You let her talk. What are you talking about?
I think I have to ask permission.
But I blame Twitter. I blame Twitter
Well,
for
yes, you
spreading
are.
the
Oh.
absolute nonsense
Joking.
of TikTok.
Blame 4chan for that too, and YouTube.
Yeah.
I want to hear about the exorcisms, dude. No, you don't. Take it from somebody who has actually witnessed an actual valid exorcism. That's not anything you. That is not something you want to be privy to.
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to tell people, especially in these nowadays with the way our society is going. That's probably something that you don't want in your life. But I mean, hell, like I said, we're at the point now where people are eating NyQuil chicken now. So I mean, you just have to let some people go down with the ship.
Well, it is like a pattern throughout history where if you do push out God, you find something else to fill the vacuum, and typically those vacuums become power vacuums. And that's where you have things that have kind of a cause and effect sort of things where when you take away like the definitions of important pillars to your society, such as good and moral and ethical, and you replace, something like God is like the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient being, so it's like when you put something with limits, and you put somebody in charge of that, it really, it's basically replacing God and like putting him with like a bunch of narcissism, like self-love and self-experience, like all this stuff where it's like you're just in charge of your own destiny, go for it. And it's like at some point though, if you do live in a society, that means that you have to kind of you just can't.
I mean, essentially, you get to the point where you start running around.
You
essentially get to the point we start running around saying that I am both God and the devil. Like,
yeah. So I mean, like I understand there are legitimate criticisms about the church and different things at different times in the church history, but I think it's a very Chistonian sort of thing to say that you can tell God is real because it's a miracle we're still here.
I mean, want to say a quick little. I was just going to say real quick, I just want to give a quick little shout out to Mrs. Flu, who's with us in the chat right now. So I'll let you finish this one.
Thank you. No, I was just going to say that the main issue with at least first world society that we see is the fact that there is no accountability. There is only
it's limited accountability for certain people.
It's limited accountability. There is a sense of using political ideology as a religious doctrine. That's a fact. And there's no self-awareness whatsoever among people. I think that if these points were addressed properly, I think that a society could function without necessarily having religion, but these are key factors that are problematic because specifically because of powerful figures or bodies of individuals purposely hurting people like sheep and destroying any basic concepts of growing up, all sorts of things like this. Unfortunately, people have fallen for it, and it's like I feel like I'm alone sometimes because most people just I can't relate to the mass majority of lost individuals that think that they know everything.
Well, a know-it-all is the only type of person that really can't learn anything. And a lot of these people don't want to learn anything. Like, you're talking earlier about karma. I don't think it's karma. I think it's poetic justice in some ways. You need something stronger.
Karma to me is perfectly logical. Like, if I walk across every cat and I slap every cat on the street, at some point, a cat is going to jump on me and maul the shit out of me. That's not karma. That's just fucked around and found out. That's really what it boils down to.
Right before we came live, there was a video of this dude who was, I think, in Russia. They was like bullying like some old dude. So some guy came out to basically stop him, and he does that one thing when he tries to like get up in your face, and the guy like drops him with one punch. It's like, yeah, we need more of that in society. I think we're missing that. Slowly but surely, so instant justice, as we like to say. But moving on,
parents didn't shy away from corrective
course
Thinking.
correction,
Corrective punishment.
yeah, corrective punishment, and I appreciate it because it wasn't used in a sense of satisfaction on their part. It made me a better person, that when I did something wrong, I was held accountable, sometimes in ways that I wish that I felt really bad about afterwards, but it worked, and I'm a better person for it. So thank you, Mom and Dad.
If I may,
a pound of. Oh, sorry.
If I may address karma for a moment, karma likes to play the long game, just so you all know, because I've witnessed karma literally drop a nuke of bad karma onto a town because one of its kids got bullied by the entire town. And a lot of shit that town sank economically. Oh. Let's just say I've seen karma, and it can be scary.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I still think poetic justice is a better term.
Yeah. The moral of this story is just don't be a menace to society, and good things will probably happen to you. So let's move on to
for Ezra.
Yeah, let's move on to our next topic here.
This is very. Let's hope it comes for him and it takes him away too. So
I get it. You want to kill him in the movie, Jesus.
Well,
let's move on to Viola Davis, who we talked about a lot of things about the movie The Woman King last night, myself, Rob, and Rick. So we do have that on YouTube if you want to check that one out later on. The full review is up, and Mongo Slade, who also joined us last night too. I think I put him in the title, but if not, he'll definitely get on there. So there's a couple of stories here with Viola Davis. One that was right before the movie came out, and then one I guess she did like as the movie like opened. So here's a story where I guess she was trying to shame people into seeing this movie. Now, like I said, there's a lot of aspects of this film that are, as the progressive folks will say, very problematic, and we'll address that here in a second. But she was saying that audiences who don't see The Woman King are supporting the narrative that Black women cannot lead the box office globally. So I'll go ahead down to the quote portion out here because there's another part of this article that I wanted to read too. But Viola Davis was giving her interview with the media, and she was speaking regarding this issue with how Black women are perceived, and I guess in movies, especially big movies overseas. And she talked about how I was talking to your co-star Loretta Lynch. This is the interviewer, by the way, and she said, I'm tired of these Black movies just being a moment, and for some reason, she felt like this isn't just a moment. This is going to be the new normal going forward. Which Davis responds that wasn't what I sorry. He said that was what I planned to ask you today, but it's just really resonated with me. He added, and then I said, "What do you think about that in terms of moving forward and making this the new normal?" Which I guess he's talking about, like I said, Black women leading movies. And she replied, "100%. I completely agree. I completely agree. 100%." And then she went on to say that here's the thing that I'm going to add. It will just be a moment if people don't go see the movie. He says that because you're sending them a very clear message to the machine, Hollywood, because now Hollywood is somehow against Black women now. I think it's that's a narrative that's going around that Hollywood is interested in green. It is what it is. It's what we do. So if you don't come out and see it, you're sending the message that Black women cannot lead the box office globally. Now, there's one point to note that, the reason why movies like this don't exactly do as well globally, like around the country, is because other countries, some in the further east, let's just put it that way, may not be interested in the narrative that movies like this are trying to promote. She went on to say that you're supporting that narrative, and if you want to normalize it, you should see the same way you would see Black Panther, Iron Man, and Spider-Man. So she's comparing this film to Spider-Man, which is very, very hilarious to me. But if you didn't recall, over the weekend there was a trend on social media that came out right when this movie was being released, and it was called "Boycott the Woman King." And believe it or not, it was actually Black Twitter that were going around floating that hashtag around, because this film, if you don't know, is about the people who were responsible for the African slave trade, one of the biggest and worst examples of the African slave traders in world history. And this movie is essentially revising history to make them to be the heroes on the sole basis that they're strong Black women, right? So Viola Davis talks about the film, I guess, using creative license with the film by rearranging some ugly parts of their true history here. And I wanted to see here. It says, "It's history. We have to take a license." He said, "We have to entertain." Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, this is Viola Davis's husband, who was also in the movie. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I think me and Rob missed that the first time around when we were reviewing it last night. But he said he tried to defend her by saying that it's history. We have to take license. We have to entertain people. Even if we just told a history lesson, which we very well could have, this would have been a documentary. Unfortunately, people won't be in theaters doing the same thing that we saw this weekend. He said we didn't want to shy away from the truth, which is a complete fucking lie. And then he went on to say that the history is massive, and there are truths on that are out there. If people want to learn more, they can investigate more. Well, people did investigate more, and that's what led to the hashtag Boycott the Woman King, because you're talking about a group of women who are responsible for killing the elderly in their own village by taking the parents, by taking the children so they can be sold to slavery. They committed horrific, brutal acts on their own people, by the way, not the quote-unquote colonizers and slavers that they talked about. When they actually went up against those people, they got absolutely blown the F out. By the way, but I just want to go on to focus on Viola Davis's comments about essentially trying to shame people into watching this movie because, well, if you don't watch this movie, you're not supporting Black women in Hollywood. So what do you think about Meemaw's comments about her film that she wants everyone to see? I think I'll start with Rob because maybe a little bit fresher in his mind than everyone else's.
Well, it's just really disingenuous because there are all kinds of movies that follow this logic. Well, okay, you have a documentary, which is a movie, by the way. It's no more true than a dramatic, true story. There's a lot of things you can fabricate in a documentary. And then you have your historical drama, which talks about the events that took place. And then maybe there's some fabricated details, a character here and there, but then what they did is something else entirely. They present it as history. They present it as like this. These are the heroes that freed slaves, when in fact they're the ones that were doing the enslaving. So that whole thing is disingenuous. The idea that we have to take license. It's like, yes, but you're being completely disingenuous about the pretense of the story. And so it's just a ridiculous thing to state. And it's probably not going to make much money past this weekend, which it failed to get $20 million. So it doesn't seem like people really want to engage with this kind of material, especially Black Twitter going against it's like Saturday morning was hilarious to see.
Yes.
So I had a really good time with that.
Orange Chat, what is your thoughts on just the whole thing with Viola Davis in the movie? I know you talked about it a little bit on your channel, but just kind of the reviews, hearing those comments.
Oh, did I cover that extensively on my channel?
Yeah.
I think that Viola Davis kind of also belongs in Bug House next to Ezra Miller. They're saying, well, we're telling the truth here. No, you weren't. We're trying to do this and that. No, you're not. And here's the thing. Mr. whatever her husband's name is, beta male. You honestly think that they said this is edutainment, that edutainment, mixing education and entertainment. And I'm like, they just said the quiet part out loud.
Yep.
What did we all used to go to the theaters for? Escapism, entertainment. Well, now they just basically admitted that we don't want to entertain you. We want to educate you. Well, here's the problem, Mr. What's his name? What's her husband's name?
Mr. Viola Davis.
Mr. Viola Davis. Yeah, there you go. He's a beta male, so he deserves that. Mr. Viola Davis, you just admitted that you had to revise the history. So when you're trying to educate them, you are now admitting that you are educating them on a false premise.
Yeah.
The Dahomey folks, if I'm pretty sure that Society and everybody else covered this last night on his channel, these people were so ruthless, so violent, so destructive that they didn't just cut off heads, rip off jaws. They also freaking cut off a person's testicles.
Mm-hmm.
Made people do horrendous things, and slaughtered up to 4,000 people in a year if they were useless to sell as slaves. Not to mention about 20 to 30 or 40% of the slaves that were sent over to America were sold by the Dahomey. Don't let Viola Davis hear that, though. She'll probably call you racist for pointing it out. The thing is, I don't care if anybody calls me racist for pointing out true facts of history. I learned all this stuff in high school, folks. This was stuff that was taught in high school when you are learning about the more darker aspects of United States history during the Civil War. Well, some of those slaves did come from Africa, and it were, no offense, black people who freaking sold slaves to the nations and to the colonies, actually, at the time.
Yeah, it's still going
So,
on too.
Yep.
Well,
And
just real
as-
quick, I just wanted to jump in real quick. Yeah, 'cause this is the one part, because this is the part that they didn't want to address in the movie. Is that for the last few decades now, we've been running with it. I mean, you can go back further than that, but just specifically in the last few decades, we've really tried to hammer down the narrative that in the movie itself specifically, they try to portray it as, well, when the Kingdom of Dahomey were selling slaves and engaging in the slave trade, they were doing it as a means of necessity. It's not because they wanted to trade their people, it's because they had to. But when like Spain or like Brazil or France, or whatever the other countries was, when they were doing it, they just wanted to oppress people. They just wanted to be oppressors and colonizers, which is a very like I said, it was their so-called clever way of essentially whitewashing the true the true cause of the slave trade back during those times. It's like, when the Africans were doing, they were only doing it as a necessity, but the white people were just evil. They just wanted to colonize it, which is not how the history worked at all. But because our education system has been so diluted over the last few years, people don't even understand like the basics about world history anymore. And it's done like that for a reason, because they want people to believe the lies, to believe the narrative, because there's a quote out there about controlling history and controlling the people that I'm pretty sure you guys have heard many times before. But this is a perfect example of what they're trying to do here.
Well, there's only one problem. They're saying that the Dahomey had to do it out of necessity. Well, then why did they keep slaves for themselves? Also, why did they trade for guns, tobacco, and alcohol? Vices.
Yep.
Well, the guns were to help fight their restocking campaigns. Not to mention that battle versus the French. Apparently, there was some battle in the movie versus the French. Yes, I didn't see the movie.
Yeah.
Well, the French slaughtered them, folks.
Yeah,
in real
we mentioned
history.
that as well.
So yeah, there's just, and also a small segue, because Don Lemon decided to bring this up kind of to coincide with the Queen's death and the movies coming out. About reparations, and this woman just totally schooled his ass, saying, well, maybe you should look to where it started. And as I have said in several conversations on other streams and I've talked about it in conversations, I don't think I've really discussed it on any videos when it came to slavery, because slavery honestly never came up in my videos. But I have always said the first people that any people ever enslaved were their own.
Yeah. And I keep telling people, to this day, there is still slavery in Africa. To this day.
There's still slavery in Asia.
Yeah.
What's really annoying about this whole situation is that Viola Davis is literally guilt tripping people to seeing her movie. If you don't see my movie that will justify my box office viability in Hollywood, there will be no more films led by Black actors or actresses. And it's like, your sense of reality is just fucking warped. There are
Not only that,
okay.
Wakanda Forever is coming out soon.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you are just full of shit. You just want it's all in a way to help yourself, and it's like, bitch, you are not entitled to my fucking money. Who the fuck do you think you are? If anything, her politics has made my life very difficult the past few months. You know, so. Where's Viola Davis to support me financially if it really comes down to that? I think that she's one of the main reasons, one of the main perpetrators. Where's my reparations? All right, so get the fuck out of here with this bullshit. At the end of the day, I don't want any Viola Davis's money. I just want her to shut the fuck up and just stop trying to tell people what to do. You're an authoritarian bitch. I don't want to hear you try and fucking force people to go see your stupid fucking movie. And these are the same type of people that completely shit on Gone with the Wind, which, you know, think what you want about the film. It's one of the greatest films ever made. Accounting for inflation, it still is the highest grossing film ever made. And, you know, people they want to continuously erase history, if it be with making this film that depicts this group of people in a, you know, good or cool light, instead of actually, like, you know, telling the truth. It's like, and then they want to get rid of actual, like, film that is important to history, whether you like what's depicted in it or not. These people are full of shit. They just want their cake and eat it too. And I'm tired of giving it to them. Like, fuck you. Don't tell me what to do. And if you do, I'm just going to fucking make you look like the loser that you are. Viola Davis is a loser. Not for any reason other than she is literally trying to fucking guilt trip people into seeing their movie. You come off like a beggar who thinks that they have power. You have no power. You have no power. Just fucking do your job. Get your fucking money. You get paid a lot more money than I will. You know, and just... I don't want to hear your fucking bullshit. I really don't. I'm tired of these people. I'm tired of these authoritarian fucking losers.
Well, real quick, before I let you guys finish off this topic, I do want to give a quick little shout out to our boy Neo, because he actually did find Viola Davis's husband's name. Now, I did find this, but as Orange was talking, I literally forgot to mention it because that's how relevant he is. So I just wanted to shout out to Neo for actually finding that name. And then another thing about the film, real quick, before I toss it back to you guys, is that Viola Davis is a 57-year-old woman, and she was talking about the training that she did to go for this film to be like this badass warrior who's like 60 years old and like fighting guys 3 times her size. And she pretty much admitted to almost having a heart attack during the training for this film, which I thought was very, very funny. Just on a side note there. So
I just want to say real quick that, like, okay, Viola Davis basically guilt tripping people. It's like, you know, here's the thing. You guys talk about the left and the media. They talk about race all the time. If we're truly trying to live in a post-race world, then Black artists should be able to fail just like white artists. And the merit is whether people go to see your movie or not. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if you can't be held up to the same standard, you're basically asking to be treated special, which is horseshit. You know, that is not on any level what an equal level playing field is. You basically want to be praised because you have a Black cast. That's tokenism. I mean, basically it's racist. They're being racist in a quote unquote positive way, but it's a huge slap in the face to anybody with a brain.
I mean, look, I went to go see like films like Four Color Girls in theaters because I like the cast. And guess what? The cast didn't talk down to you or tell you if you don't see this movie, then you're a racist and you're a piece of shit. And it's going to be the end of the world for movies led by Black, actresses. It's like, respect the people you're trying to sell your product to. Otherwise, they don't give a fuck. They're not going to go see your garbage and try and make a good fucking movie. How about that? You know, that's what puts butts in seats. Try making a good fucking movie. Don't try and force people to go see garbage, filth. And have more star power in your films. I mean, I like Viola Davis. I think she's a very good actress, but I mean, compare it to a cast like in For Colored Girls, like people that are iconic, like Janet Jackson. Like that was a good cast of people that I went out of my way to go see in the theater. I'm sorry, I like Viola Davis, but when she acts like this and it's just like her, I don't really know anybody else in the film, I'm not gonna care so much. Sorry.
Well, I want to bring this up because this frustrates me every goddamn time. There's the whole thing with Attack on Titan. They call Attack on Titan story fascist. And it's like, dude, it's based off of what happened in the Holocaust. Isayama made it clear about it. I even showed my mom like some of the stuff from Attack on Titan, and she liked it. She liked what Attack on Titan was trying to do. And you even have yes, there is like a single black character in there, but I liked what his dialogue about what he said about freedom was just so powerful in there as well. That was the whole thing, was fighting for freedom. And to have that there and still have the people say that it is like that series is fascist and you need to like boycott it because of it is like a huge what the fuck, dude. There's fascism in there. The villains are fucking fascists. What do you want from it? Like, seriously, it's trying to like, that's the underlying theme of it, is that kind of thing. And it's just very frustrating to see like how the West is. The fact that Hideo Kojima came out today and he was talking about cyber edge runners. And I got to read this tweet that he said, because I could not believe what he said. It was so good. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick.
I was surprised he brought up, was it Cyberpunk 08?
Oh, wait, was it? Hold on a second.
That's a classic right there.
No, what he said was, I just watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners in one sitting. Awesome, great. Under the recent domestic anime situation, there was a feeling that famous Japanese studios were consumed by the overseas market, but not this one. This is a miracle squeeze, the trigger to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I get things that go into my mind. It's like, no, I can't go too hard. But I will say this regarding the whole controversy with the Woman King. Viola Davis said one point that really stuck out to me. It was actually the interviewer who said it, and it was about Lashana Lynch's comments about how we need to have like empower like Black stories. Here's the problem. You want to know why audiences, especially global audiences, don't embrace Black stories the way that they should? How about this? Can you do a movie with a Black cast, majority Black cast, that has nothing to do with slavery, oppression, or any kind of narcotics? Can you do that? Can you take those three out of the story entirely and then actually create something good? I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying if you look at the majority of the things that are being written and being produced today, it always comes back to some form of oppression, slavery in some kind of way, which is another form of oppression, or it has to be some kind of narcotics involved, which you were talking about, those garbage movies that rappers used to do like 20 years ago, like the Friday movies. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, I mean, can you give something people a reason to actually watch? Can you actually tell a story that doesn't have to be about how Black people have suffered for 400 years, quote unquote 400 years? Can you just give somebody a decent story that they would actually like? People will support it, but if they're going to a movie that's just going to lecture them about the perils of world history from an inaccurate standpoint, mind you, how can you sit there and be surprised that no one wants to go see that? That no one wants to go spend $17 to go watch that film in the movie theaters?
Look, I love Spawn. Okay, that was a Black superhero.
Yeah.
And it might be a terrible movie, and the CGI may not hold up at all because it's awful. Trust me. I love that movie, and I don't for one second think about the fact that Hero's Black.
Yeah,
it's just an action movie, you know?
Yeah. Dude, we sat here and watched. Remember a few weeks ago, this was like a few weeks back. Remember we sat here, we watched "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker," the Keaton Iron Ways movie that everyone here enjoyed, which was really, really funny. It's like, can we do more of those movies? Like even if you're gonna address some of those issues, look at a film like Hollywood Shuffle. Hollywood Shuffle was a hilarious movie, and it addressed a lot of things about the Black actor struggle in Hollywood, but did it in a creative and entertaining way. You guys aren't even good enough to do that anymore. That's like we're now trying to recreate the Wiz after 45 years, acting like people forgot that it ever existed. It's like, what are we doing here?
People are incapable of anything thought-provoking. It's just, well, let's just keep with the oppression thing. And it's like, if you don't get past that to branch into like wanting to achieve, wanting to move on, I mean, at some point you're just going to continue the cycle. And it seems like there are people in power that want to continue this cycle. It's not me. I have no fucking power. Like we're just regular average people. You know, it's the people in power that want to continue this cycle for whatever reason.
This is the West that wants to do this. I want to make this clear. This is the West that's doing this. I have not seen this in manga. I have not, in terms of what's going on in anime adaptations, I don't know to the fullest extent. But in manga, because this is my grieving therapy, it has been the best form of grieving therapy. I could tell you that much, because that's what a lot of the series I cover has gone through, is about moving forward past the grief, past the pain. And like, to not have that in Western media, especially when you have, especially during like the pandemic, that's like the worst thing you could do, to not have something to like lean on.
I do want to finish up Spencer's point before we move on to our next topic. I will say this: I will not bury the first Friday movie, but I did fairly recently see the second one, and that's a movie that I will bury 10 out of 10 times. So, yeah, next Friday, not a very good film. I'll just throw that one in there. But let's move on to our next topic. Yeah, no, it's definitely the worst of the three.
I want to say real quickly, like the West actually has some really good multicultural literature that has been pulled from Africa. Yeah. Like one of my favorite books is Cry the Beloved Country. And then you have you could do such a good juxtaposition of like the Heart of Darkness guy. Conrad's work with kind of Akabe's like Things Fall Apart. Because it was talking about the same situation from two different perspectives. It's such a good mashup you could do as a screenplay. And it's like, but nobody wants to do this because we just want.
No one wants to adapt African mythology, which is a huge problem. African mythology is so interesting, and
you have such a wide variety of things that you could touch on too, just on the geopolitical sort of implications of even modern day topics. You know, like I grew up in a missionary church, so I actually have met a lot of people from the Côte d'Ivoire and Senegalese, and it's just interesting to hear them talk. And yeah, their stories won't get made into movies because and I think I said on Twitter, I feel like somebody like sold this to Viola Davis just so she would like agree with slavery under the guise of woman good, woman powerful. And it's, you know, just kind of comments like this that I'm like, you probably don't actually know the truth, do you? Okay. So
she sacrificed truth for agenda. And not only that, my last touch on this thing, she also said in those interviews that, well, the women in the Dahomey tribes, the Agoji, were undesired women in some sort of attempt to make people sympathize with these women. I'm sorry that they were ugly. I'm sorry that there was poor genetics, but that's not going to excuse the actions that they undertook.
I will say this: that might be the most historically accurate portion of the entire film, and I'll just leave it at that one. So, Cassie, this one's for you. Let's go on to our next topic. GTA 6 leaked online, and people are big mad. So let's talk about how this whole cluster of a story happened. So apparently some hacker literally just straight up leaked a whole bunch of early footage from GTA 6. And I find this very odd. I want to ask Cassie when she goes on her rant about this, because if you notice that there's a lot of people coming out now say, well, actually GTA 6 looks really, really good now, even though they're arguing about unfinished visuals in the video game, which I just think, okay, you guys are simping a little too hard, a little too early for me.
The thing is, like, what we see looks so much better than the fucking slop gamers are being like given. Like, we just recently got Saints Row. The the video leaks that we've gotten from and this is a build like in 2019 look better than the new Saints Row. So I think that we're just so used to slop at this point that we're looking at this super early build of GTA 6 and we're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like this already just we want this because the bullshit that we're getting now sucks. But this is a constantly evolving story. Every day is something like each day like crazy shit is coming out about it.
Yeah, so like now the FBI is involved because apparently this hackers store like the source code for both GTA 5 and 6 now that they're reporting that they have like both, which I think is pretty bad to have the source code for a game that's not even out yet.
I think that the hacker was a 16-year-old.
Oh my god, that's sad.
Well, if he's 16, then that may be a good thing because now he'll just work for the CIA when he gets captured. So
yeah, I was about to
But
say
they also like
that kid's got a bright future.
CIA or something. Like, because I know there was a major hack like years ago, and that hacker, like, I don't remember where he went, if he's in jail or if he's working for the government or something.
Yeah, they're in quote
they
unquote
think that
jail.
he may be the child of someone that works for the company. So
Oh,
yeah, that's possibly what it is. It's like it's an ever evolving story. We don't have all the answers yet, but it keeps getting more and more interesting as time goes on.
Yeah, kid, I would lie and say that I did it myself. That's the only way you're going to save yourself after this one. But Rockstar confirmed on Monday that the leak is in fact real. They're extremely disappointed in the incident. They said the following statement: "We recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage from the next Grand Theft Auto." The company said in a tweet, "We are extremely disappointed to have any details of our game shared with you all in this way." Rockstar continued that our work remains as committed as ever to delivering an experience to you, your players, that truly exceeds your expectation. The unreleased footage apparently confirms that Vice City will be the location for the next GTA 6 game, which they're pretty sure they didn't want anyone to know yet. And they also confirmed the female protagonist that was going to be set in this film as well. Rockstar said it does not expect any disruption of the live game services or any long-term effects of its ongoing products. This is still a game that hopefully is going to be out pretty soon. Now, we did talk about this a little bit a couple of months back, if you remember, because there was a lot of talk about whether this GTA 6 game was going to be quote-unquote woke or not, because a lot of the details that were coming out that were being leaked about the story. And now we have just like full-on like footage leaks, a lot of it's a lot of stuff that it's hard to really complain that, oh, this looks terrible, because I mean, look, it is unfinished. It's not, ready to be looked at yet, which is a big part of the reason why it got leaked in the first place. So you can't really judge it based on its quality just yet, but based on anything that you've seen from this, are you more excited than you were a few months ago, or are you feeling just about the same for this GTA game? I'll start with Cassie.
So I mean, looking at the footage, I thought it looked pretty decent for what it was. You do see both the male and female protagonists in the game. I actually liked it. I thought it was cool. My biggest concern is that apparently it might be a cross-gen game. So that's like now my biggest concern.
Yeah,
with that game. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, seeing that footage, it seems as though I mean, at least back when that footage was made, seems as though they were on a decent track. Now, whether people that they hired recently demand changes for the game and, the main female protagonist butt's too big, let's make it flat as shit, flat as a pancake, like shit like that. We don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, this situation is insane. This is a huge deal. This is Rockstar's big game that they've been working on for, a couple of years short of a decade, and they put all their eggs in this basket. The fact that this game leaked to the extent of having the source code out there, and their current moneymaker, GTA 5, the source code of that too, that's hardly concerning. But to be honest, you have no one to blame but Rockstar themselves. People have constantly, been saying, Rockstar, do other things other than Red Dead and other than GTA. We want Bully 2. We want you to revisit a lot of your classic franchises. Do Manhunt. Do all these games that you're known for. Like, we don't want to just get a Red Dead Redemption this generation, then the next generation get. This sucks. Like, this could push back the development of this game for years potentially. Yep. They're not saying that now. They put out a statement saying that the game is still on track to be released, but there's no release date of the game. So internally, it could get delayed. There's nothing official on paper by any means to be able to hold them to that. It's highly concerning. Like I said, this could fuck Rockstar, like one of the biggest creators. They are the creators of the most profitable piece of entertainment in history, which is GTA 5. They are the biggest developer in the gaming space. Everybody and their mother knows of either Rockstar or GTA. This could fuck them in ways that who knows how bad it could be. And that's a scary thought when the biggest company in all of gaming can be broken by this. And if it comes out that really a 16-year-old did this, it's like, bruh, it wasn't some mastermind motherfucker in their fucking secret bat cave headquarters that did this. No, it was a 16-year-old. That's not good.
It was a high school junior that did this. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact that once again, in terms of security, I have to blame Rockstar for this. This shouldn't have happened. And the fact that they got so much, it's a problem. And it sucks as a gamer because, I mean, from what I've seen, GTA 6 looks pretty damn good. I mean, you got your nightclubs holding up convenience stores / restaurants. Like, you get your traditional GTA bullshit nonsense that you could do. So that's cool to me. And it looks way better than the new Saints Row game that came out. It actually makes that game look like the giant heaping pile of shit that it is. And this is from a super early build of the game. So the fact that the game, could potentially be a genuinely good game, and the development cycle of this could be extended because, they may have to just do a lot of changes to the source code itself. Like, that sucks as a gamer that this game might be delayed years. I mean, Half-Life 2, I don't know if you guys remember, the source code got leaked for that, and that extended the development time of that game for years to redo like 80% of their their source code and all that shit. Yep. They had to change that game, like fix that, change 80% of that game. That's crazy. Who knows how this is going to end up? It really does suck for the gaming community if it's a genuinely good game. And from what I saw, it looks like GTA, so it would have been something, that we might have seen maybe next year, but who knows when now.
Yeah,
I was actually going to ask you a couple questions because you hear you kind of poo-pooed on the idea of GTA 6 being judging itself. I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on that one. And then Chirping Critics has a question for you. Do you have your own YouTube channel? It's like, I'm glad you asked. So let's go ahead and let it rock.
I technically do, actually. Yeah, no, I technically do. And it's just Rob_Motto. Like, I have a few videos up, but yeah, I haven't done much on it. It's just kind of been occasionally uploading some videos, but I just like GTA is like, places I want to actually spend time in usually. Yeah. So nowhere in the South really rings that bell. I mean, I might like some Southern cities once I visit, but I have that sort of East Coast, bias, however you want to look mentality. At it. Kind of, probably. Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. Look, I am a casual video game player. Actually, I don't even play video games currently, but I have played every Grand Theft Auto in my life. I always get the new game, and I'm at that point where I'm like, am I really gonna buy it again? Probably. I mean, if it's good, if it's decent, if I hear like the reviews are good about it, like I'll probably get it. Because I've enjoyed playing Grand Theft Auto all throughout the years. So until there's evidence that I'm not going to enjoy it, we'll see. But I mean, I like Rockstar as a company. I love Max Payne. I grew up with that game. LA Noire. I'm trying to think, but the last 3 video games I bought was The Last of Us on PS3, Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS3, and Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PS4 Pro. So it's like those are the 3 games I played in the last 10 years. So that's kind of all I know. So if Rockstar's going belly up, I don't know. That might be it for me.
Does anyone else have any other comments on the GTA 6 leaks?
So wait, Cassie said that the female protagonist has a flat ass.
No, shit. So everyone was concerned with Rockstar going woke because of how internal developers are saying they want to be like, more respectful, inclusive, all that shit. So
then why did they put Brie Larson in the game?
Wait.
That was my whole point. Sorry.
I had to. Oh my god.
In all seriousness, though.
No, so she's not flat. She's actually like a very well femininely endowed Latin woman.
Well, seriously, I heard they were gonna go woke and get rid of a lot of the jokes. So if it's gonna be like a better looking Saints Row reboot, like that would not be good. If it's gonna be like Destroy All Humans reboot, where there's like a remake, whatever, where they got rid of like a trans quote unquote transphobic level for inclusivity, then that's not Grand Theft Auto, because Grand Theft Auto doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
At least from what I remember of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
They never did until
basis-
this new age came.
Yeah, the whole basis of GTA is being counterculture. So if they decide to mingle with what is deemed acceptable, you destroy the very fabric of why why my dad knows what GTA is, why everybody, who isn't a gamer still knows what GTA is. You destroy the fabric of that reality.
Well, I think they destroyed GTA the moment they got rid of hot coffee.
The very, very odd one. You don't remember the
hot coffee thing they did?
Well,
they got
so
rid- oh
the
my
reason
god, how do you not know
why-
about this? Maybe it's because I worked at GameStop at the time.
The reason why they had to take that out is because it basically changed the rating from an M rating to an adults only rating.
Oh.
In which, yes, so it couldn't be sold if that was the case. So in that sense, they had to remove that.
Damn.
I remember, like, we couldn't take any more Grand Theft Auto games that had the hot coffee mini game in there. We couldn't take them in anymore. It was so frustrating.
I don't know the coffee reference, but all I'm thinking about is teabagging right now. So
No, hot coffee. It was.
yeah, I don't play games. So.
You're not that far
Mine had the
off,
gutter
except the receiver is still alive. But
yeah, I was working at GameStop like in 2008, so that's how I learned.
Oh, you
coffee.
poor soul! You poor
Yeah,
soul.
I worked there from like 2008 to like 2010, and I like rose up in the ranks within like a year, and I was a supervisor. So yeah.
Nice.
Well, I tell you what, only because now I know that Rob objects to the idea, I'm totally down for a GTA 6 that's set in the South. And if we are going to get someone Southern involved with GTA 6, I nominate Hannah Barron to be the protagonist, the female protagonist. Give us some female representation, I don't send for very many women, but this is one of them I actually do. So, I mean, how can you hear a voice like that and not just immediately fall in love? Johnson might know something about this.
I'm Hannah Barron, and as a woman that travels a good bit by herself, I like to always have some kind of protection with me.
I don't know about
Usually
falling in
that's
love,
my concealed
but-
carry, but that's not always possible or legal.
All right, that's enough. I'm not playing the whole video. All right, then.
They need to put her on Demolition Ranch.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure she'll be on there very, very soon. But let's hop over to another story, our next story here, and that is She-Hulk's ratings are in the mud. Very, very piss poor. Now, if you guys are following me Bounding in the Comics, I actually been reviewing the show so far. I think we're 5 episodes down with like 4 more left to go. And all I can say 5 episodes in is that I want a Nene off a bridge. I really thought about ending it all after episode 4. Then we watched episode 5, and pretty much like nothing happened in the entire was like 20 minutes of the episode felt short, so that's probably why it felt like nothing happened. But no one's really watching She-Hulk at all. If you look at the Nielsen ratings here for the top released shows on streaming, you'll see The Sandman, you'll see Stranger Things, Never Have I Ever, Lock and Key, Untold, Virgin River, A League of Their Own, Echoes, Only Murders in the Build, and Instant Dream Home. None of these involve She-Hulk whatsoever, which is on Disney Plus, and there is no amount of minutes that this thing has been watched. The only real ratings that we've gotten so far is I think like 1.5 million people saw the first episode, which is not a great number, all things considered. I mean, that's lower than the episode of Monday Night Raw, to put things in perspective. But yeah, it doesn't really seem like anyone's really too interested in She-Hulk. I don't know why they would be. It's arguably the worst television show in the history of television, and it's not even on TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, She-Hulk's ratings are in the mud. No one's watching it because the show sucks. So what do you guys think about that? Has anyone seen a single episode of She-Hulk up to this point?
Nope.
So I'm the only person here
That's
suffering
it.
alone.
But I have to point this out, and I'll post the link up in here. But someone pointed out that someone on TikTok with a filter did She-Hulk better than the Marvel VFX artists.
I did see that. That was actually, that woman is, when they say Amazon, they mean tall. That woman was pure Amazonian.
I do say this.
Why didn't they hire?
No, go ahead.
They should have. Sorry. Why didn't they just hire her to play She-Hulk?
Because she probably wasn't woke enough.
Idiots.
Yeah.
They are starting to pick up that they need more star power, and I know Tatiana Maslany has a large following since what is it that
What has she done?
Orphan Black, right?
Oh
Black
God!
Show, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Game Rock PTSD.
But yeah, I know that was probably what 5 years ago now.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while. And she's Canadian.
Well, I mean, like if I
That's
even know
bad
that,
enough,
and I'm a
so.
normie, that's pretty bad, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, no, the show is just awful. There's nothing redeeming about it. It's not funny. They've hired like bad female sitcom writers to write this show. They don't know how to do a law drama, which is why is it attorney at law if it's not going to be anything to do with the courtroom whatsoever. She's not a good lawyer on the show. She's not a good superhero. They keep trying to reject this idea of her being a hero throughout the entire series until someone decides to sue her for her name that she's also run down the entire time.
It's almost as if the substance, which there is none, behind the idea of this character and the world that they've built is just wallpaper. Her career, the opinions she has. It's just a way to sort of project this lady boss. I'm better than you, like women over men bull crap. And it's like, if that's all your show is, if it's just a basic it's a soapbox for you to project your virtue signaling points, then it's just going to be like, no one cares. No one's going to tune in, and nobody wants to watch what you have to produce.
Yeah, and every single literally every single episode, they find some kind of way to just run down men, whether it's the men that she dates, the men that are in her office who don't take her seriously because she's a woman. I saw the whole Viola rant about how she controls her anger every day because men are just so terrible to her. Like, that's all the show has. That's literally all the show has up to this point. And if you're a viewer, if you're someone who's actually like interested in the lore of like She-Hulk, it's like, who the hell wants to watch that for 20 to 30 awful minutes? The only reason why I'm still watching this because I know Spencer has to watch it too, just to get the screenshots for the article. So I'm basically forcing him to watch it at a proxy. That's the only reason why I'm still in it at this point. But outside of that, I mean, this show is just death on the stick. The way it feels like.
The show itself is losing viewership, and I think it's important to discuss why people do not want to see the show. Mm-hmm. Personally, I don't want to see it because the only thing that gets spoken about is the cringe fucking moments in the actual show itself.
Yeah.
It's insufferable. It's like everything. The only thing that seems to be a topic of discussion is how cringy it is. So everything else is just filler. Why would I ever bother going out of my way to watch a piece of shit? That's like, I don't think that they get it. You're not entitled to my time or my money, Marvel.
Yeah.
I know that they have like their little their group of fanboys and fangirls that will watch any heaping pile of shit that they put on Disney Plus and defend it because they're mentally ill and they've been brought up to literally be okay with garbage shows or movies that are devoid of any basic storytelling elements. And that's at some point, even they're going to get bored because we're doing a show about She-Hulk, and it's not even. It's at best, it's probably like a blog. From what I've heard, each episode is just a whole big pile of nothing.
Yeah. And then literally last week's episode was about absolutely fucking nothing. All they did was she got a suit that no one saw, even though we focused the entire episode on it. And then the B plot was that she was getting sued for the use of her name that she's been denouncing the entire time in this series. And this is like episode 5 of 9 episodes. You're thinking to yourself, what exactly is any of this about? Why am I watching this to begin with? And by the way, to Josh's point, who said that catcalling is deemed offensive to someone who's never been catcalled in your life. Does this look like a woman who's never been catcalled in her life, Josh? Huh?
Yes. Sorry.
Dig it.
I mean, but like, this is okay. Look, this is why I find this stuff so funny on Twitter and why I love trolling people and fucking with them, because it's like, I'm just going to say the thing you're telling me I'm not supposed to say. And then I'm going to watch you get upset and then I'm going to laugh about it. You know what I mean? It's like, and I know I'm being a child. I realize I, act like a complete contrarian child on Twitter. I fully accept that and own it. But it's just so easy and it's so much fun. And so I'm at least glad that it exists for that purpose. But as a show, Disney, since Disney Plus's launch, it's been a whole lot of nothing, And then even on the movie side, it's, what do? They do live action recreations of their own product. Like, nobody wants these things. I mean, other than a parent who wants an afternoon off from, from their kids asking them a million questions, I guess. But, it's, I don't know who these things are for ultimately.
At this point, if you watch this shit on Disney Plus, I think that you if you allow your children to watch this and you actually encourage your children to watch this, I think that you hate your children. Like, honestly, how could you actually put a kid in front of the TV and tell them to watch She-Hulk? So you could watch Meg the Stallion and She-Hulk twerking. It's just fucking dumb, man. And like Rob said, Twitter is clown world. I don't take it seriously. It's even more. It's more inviting to be an asshole when people that take themselves seriously holding the most clownish as fuck opinions that have no basis in reality, just it being so easy to trigger them just by being a bitch. Like, I love it. I feed off of your fucking tears. Look, I have a pretty beefy PC, all right? And it has an AIO, which is a water cooler attached to my processor. Give me your tears so I can make sure that my processor stays nice and cool. I would appreciate that. So cry as much as you fucking want. Your show sucks. All this bullshit that you want to push sucks. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend. Like, I can't. They want to pretend, and that's cool, but I think that you're a clown for doing it, and I'm going to make fun of you.
I want to answer Neil's question. I haven't checked the numbers in a bit, but they were losing it like a few months ago, so I'm not sure if that's changed. And I know they lost a pretty big market in India, but I'm not sure if that affected their overall numbers just yet. Any other last thoughts about She-Hulk as a show, as an existence, before we move on to our closer?
It needs to be snapped out of existence, but Megan the Stallion at least got a hosting and performance gig on SNL out of it, so I guess someone's winning.
Do you want to really host on SNL anymore? I mean, that show has died the last 7 years, 8 years. It's just been not funny at all.
I mean, you can go back further than that, to be honest.
I grew up
there you
with
go.
it, so I have a soft spot for it,
SNL. Maybe it would work out.
Yeah.
They need to disbarge She-Hulk.
Everybody's leaving SNL. So
right.
No, that would be it though. She-Hulk hosts SNL. That would be it. So
yeah, the problem with Yeah, the big problem with She-Hulk is that there's just nothing to this show. There's no villains, there's no heroes. It's literally just a show about a female superhero written by women who only want to prop up the fact that it's a female superhero, as if we haven't seen this before. So yeah, I can't wait to watch episode 6 tomorrow.
I want to point this out too. Like, you could have a superhero doing law. I mean, Harvey Birdman, attorney at law, works, and there's there's almost nothing going on in there. It's just so much insanity and stupidity going on there, but it's so funny. Nobody gives a fuck.
No, I just discovered that show, by the way. Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. I laugh my ass off like constantly watching it. So it was a great discovery.
I wanted to answer this one from Spencer before we move on. I'm down, but I want that show written by a man so it can actually be good. So, and then I'll leave that one over to our final topic of the night. So this is something that I think we covered a little bit last week when we talked about Cobra Kai, and we talked about basically just the positive reaction that the show has gotten. So Sony made an announcement earlier this week. I think that's late last week, I should say, that they're going to do a Cobra Kai movie. Not exactly. It's going to be a Karate Kid movie that has nothing to do with Cobra Kai. So it's just going to be another Karate Kid. Aren't you guys excited now?
Is Jackie Chan in it?
Right. They already did this with Jackie Chan and Will Smith's kid. Yeah.
So
not part of this.
All of you guys had the same reaction that I did when they said that Sony is working on another Karate Kid movie. It's like, oh, cool, it's going to be something related to Cobra Kai, right? And then the showrunner of Cobra Kai said that, well, he does not know what this film is going to be about, but he knows that it's not going to have anything to do with the Cobra Kai spinoff on Netflix. So John Hurwitz, who's the co-creator of Cobra Kai, a massive fan of the Karate Kid franchise, has created a show that started off on first two seasons on YouTube Red, then it moved over to Netflix for the last 3 seasons. Season 5 just came out. I definitely recommend it. It's still very, very good. And people were kind of excited for a second until Hurwitz had to break the news to people that this will not be a Cobra Kai related movie. He posted on Twitter, wrote a tweet that says, "The guys and I would love to make a Karate Kid and Cobra Kai movies and hope to someday, but this one isn't from us, or is it focused on the Cobra Kai cast? Don't know much about it, but I wish it well." So when people found out about this, they were like, so you're going to do another Karate Kid movie, but it's not going to be focused on any of the current characters, especially the ones that we've brought back over the years related to the Karate Kid universe. So it's like, then why are we doing this? Because apparently Sony insists on having movie universes around absolutely nothing. Just look no further than the fact that we're getting a Venom 3. Sony would say that they're going to release this film in 2024. There's been absolutely no information on it as of this writing. They just said that the release date is going to be June 7, 2024, with no information of who's going to be a part of this movie, what's it going to be about. Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? Is it a prequel? Nobody knows. But all we know for certain is that the Cobra Kai cast and the crew are not going to be involved with this movie. So, that's pretty much the story there. I guess we'll start this up with Orange Hat and kind of go around. What do you think of Sony's idea of doing a Karate Kid? I keep saying Cobra Kai because, I mean, that's the one that's recently in my mind. But what do you think of them doing a Karate Kid movie that's not attached to the Netflix series? It's not connected to it.
Well, I was extremely excited. I had to do 2 videos back to back because I reported on the new movie and the planning, but then John Hurwitz had to open his mouth, and it's like, you just broke my heart, and now I got to do a fucking retraction video.
Yeah.
And it's like, son of a bitch. And then I basically made my thoughts apparent. It's like, now I'm afraid that Sony's going to freaking go the woke direction. They're going to somehow just screw it up. It's a soulless cash grab. I mean, I find myself literally having theoretical conversations. If I could literally get in the freaking studio to talk with these heads at Sony, I would do my best to convince. It's like, look at what John Hurwitz and Cobra Kai has done. It has revived a freaking franchise that is 30 years old at the time of revival.
Yep.
You have done something, honestly, that hasn't been done with exception to Top Gun. You took a franchise that has long been asleep And you literally woke it up, revived it, not woke, but not that woke. But you also are doing it in a way that's making money. You're doing it in a way that people are embracing. You have your representation in it. You have your political correctness that people love to mock. Manholes, for crying out loud. But anyway, it's but it's just it works. It actually works. And now you're saying that you're going to make a movie that has nothing to do with this massive success that you have going? What the actual fuck? Because honestly, if this is a misdirection because they honestly can't say whether or not they are or aren't, then by God, I will want to bitch slap John Hurwitz, but then I'll hug him because he got us. But I'm hoping that's the case, just so I can bitch slap him and then hug him. But if it turns out that it wasn't a joke, it's like you guys made a monumental mistake.
Yeah, and I believe you. Just real quick, actually, I'll let you go. Remember, you said this last week that this show probably has maybe 2 good seasons left in it before they have to wrap things up. You're in a position right now where, look, you can go ahead and do one last season of this Netflix show and then use that season to propel the movie that's going to come out a year later. Like, you're in a perfect position right now where you can wrap things up, give people a satisfying ending, and then you can also propel people to a movie that can expand this later on as well. But I, for the life of me, cannot understand why they would want to do a movie that has absolutely nothing to do with the popular franchise that has been revived in the last 5 years. It's like no one's gonna watch. What are you gonna do? You're gonna just do a movie based on Hillary Swank, or are you just gonna completely revamp it altogether and try to modernize it for modern times and get a more politically correct hero and villain? It's like this. It's not gonna work. Sony cannot be this stupid. But we're talking about the same people who have pretty much bankrolled Seth Rogen's career for the last 15, 20 years. So maybe they're not that bright. So, Cassie, I'll let you. Yeah, I'll let you continue, Cassie.
Ain't you guys excited for Karate Kid to get Ghostbusters 2016 because Sony's responsible for that steaming pile of shit as well? I mean,
don't joke about that.
This is the reality. This is the clown world that we live in, bro. That is very much on the table as far as I'm concerned. Cassie, no doubt.
Well, Cassie, they had Hillary Swank already, so it's got to be a black woman this time.
Well, a black trans woman. That's for
yes, it's got to be a black trans woman. But I thought tomboys can't exist. But apparently,
it's going to be
trans. It's okay.
It's going to be an all-female cast, but the main character is going to be trans, and she's obviously going to go in the ladies' room. That's literally what it's going to devolve into.
Look, I think that this is really about money. I think Sony is greedy ultimately, and they're like, oh, hey, we own the rights, and everybody's, kind of tuned in to the Karate Kid universe because of Cobra Kai. So, let's make it, because they would basically have to cut Netflix in, who owns the rights. I'm assuming owns the rights to Cobra Kai. Now, maybe those are just streaming rights for the show, but they would basically have to have a venture production, which they don't generally do unless it's a really big movie. Usually it's Oscar bait type of movies. It's not even franchise stuff. So I would be interested just from the business side to see how that would work. But yeah, I just think Sony owns the rights to the Karate Kid. They're like, why not? But that's just my cynical business sense, But I'm not a fan of the franchise. I'm not a fan of Cobra Kai because I haven't seen it yet. So it's just do we need another intellectual property being made? But that's just me.
Johnson, no thoughts?
I think it's kind of lazy. So, but
yeah. So, go ahead.
What are you going to do in today's world? So I don't know.
I will say this: that there was people were saying that the conflicting issue here is that if they were to combine to do a movie, that Sony would have to strike some kind of deal with Netflix, and it said that maybe Netflix won't be on board with the idea because they want things focused on their streaming. It's like you're talking about, like I said, we don't have very many movies coming out in the next few years that people are like genuinely excited to see. I'm not talking about those MCU films where they tell you, "Oh, you're gonna get Kang in the Avengers in 4 years." Like, they're talking about movies that people are actually generally like intrigued to want to go see, and this would be one of them if they would do it with the right cast. But here you're trying to tell me that these two chuckle fucks of a streaming of networks like Sony and Netflix can't come together to strike a deal to create a movie that could actually generate some buzz and maybe some money? Because I mean, if this film has anywhere near the Top Gun effect, this is gonna be something that can actually make them a whole lot of money, especially considering the fact, like, what else are we getting in the next couple of years? What else is coming out in 2024 that anyone's going to be excited to go see? I mean, if that's the fact, you can end up, putting this thing out. It can make tons of money for you. They try to tell me that these guys can't come together and do the right thing, or they just that greedy to be like, well, hey, Cobra Kai is a hit, so let's do another Karate Kid movie. Yeah, a Mr. Miyagi, a prequel, like, really? Because Sony won't do it. Like, this is the same studio that tried to argue for an Aunt May movie. So I mean, these are the people who are in charge here.
Well, I think it's a quick cash grab, definitely. But I mean, they did work pretty well with Disney for Spider-Man: No Way Home, so it wasn't terrible anyway.
We all know.
Maybe when they control less, it becomes a better thing because they can actually put more resources into like crafting a good story versus like getting caught up in the hype of their own supply.
I think it's reasonable to say that the Cobra Kai show has has propelled so much goodwill toward the fan base that a company like Sony, that they do shitty things, definitely wants to piss all over that. I wouldn't be surprised, because that's just, unfortunately, like 10 years ago, I wouldn't think this about a company. I mean, I typically wouldn't, but these people have no goodwill, these companies, no goodwill whatsoever. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's just like, well, this Goodwill TV show did its thing to get us to be able to slide this Karate Kid movie in here, just so we could shit on the people that like this franchise in general. It wouldn't surprise me. It's like a sport to them. So in regards to shitting on them, it's a sport for me too. So
it is hard to remain. Sorry, it is hard to remain a person of goodwill in a world of bad faith criticisms. So
yeah,
I can understand that bitterness that eventually sinks in. So
I do want to pose this question real quick for anyone who's seen Cobra Kai. Does anyone like Sam, like, at all? Does anyone like Sam?
I like her character. Her character has growth. Her character does have complexity to it. I am looking forward to seeing where her character goes, because she is a deeply conflicted character. She doesn't know where she stands. She is this spoiled little rich girl in the beginning, which is now evolving into a very conflicted, PTSD-ridden and very angry. She is so divided in herself that she has to find her center. That's one of the things that I actually like about her arc. She doesn't know what she wants right now, but she also is trying to reconcile it. It's actually one of the more, it's a hero's journey without her actually being a hero. You're trying to find yourself, but you're also trying to reconcile the parts of you that are less acceptable.
Yeah. Do you think that they hurt her in the case of they tried to portray Tori as the villain when she was first presented, but they ended up making Tori a more compelling character overall?
I think that Tori is a more compelling character because, one, she actually has a redemption arc that is carrying into something that I am extremely looking forward to, but also she is a good antithesis to Sam because she is the dark side that Sam can easily go to, but she's also, but while one is kind of moving toward the dark, they're kind of moving towards each other in a way, but they're going to go right by each other. Where Tori's trying to be more light side driven to redeem herself. Sam is in her character destruction and confusion. She's going more aggressive. So it is something that is an interesting thing to see. Can she actually pull herself into a center where she can finally be centered?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think that there's more conflict because obviously she's the daughter of like the main character, so that makes a lot of sense too. But that also gives you a lot of wiggle room for a character like that, but you can present her more conflict because she is expected to be more of like this Miss like goody two shoes because she's the daughter of our former like protagonist. But like I said, I think they did it pretty well. I believe it was season 4 of Cobra Kai when they actually had her train with Joey for a little bit, and then she was like, "Well, I actually wanted to learn more of the lessons of Eagle Fang and not do everything the Miyagi way." So I can see both sides to that argument. I think a lot of the thing is the way they portrayed her, at least early on, just kind of rub people the wrong way because she does come off as a bit too whiny, especially when you put her up there with all these like love triangles and stuff like that. It's like you probably do better just getting away from more of that stuff and focusing a little bit more on the story. But any final thoughts on here for the Karate Kid movie before we wrap things up?
Don't screw it up, Sony. Just don't fucking screw it up.
It's gonna be rage.
I know you will, but just don't.
It'll just be rage bait. Look at all the clicks and likes and all that shit that the Little Mermaid's getting.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, if
where Jason Momoa is standing above her.
Well, if anybody from Sony is watching, my thing is like it's a kid movie, Karate Kid, so keep it for the kids. Kids need wholesome stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I like the original because my kids like the original.
Don't be too preachy. I mean, and yes, it's an 80s movie, and 80s movies get very preachy, but don't be too preachy and woke. Just take it back to like how the 80s.
I'd rather take 80s preachy over 2022 preachy.
2022 preachy. No, there's a difference between 80s preachy and 2022 preachy. 80s preachy wasn't like patronizing preachy.
Well, a little bit.
It had to be, I think, on some level because your audience is statistically your audience is like somewhere between like 80% or 80 intelligence points and 120. So you have to make sure that the smart people understand. Well, the smart people get it without it being said. Okay, but that's not the case for everybody.
That was a very, very elegant way of saying that your fan base is between moderately intelligent and borderline retarded.
We are talking about most people, and most people are stupid.
Talking about most people.
Yes.
We're talking about
the stupidity virus.
Yeah.
It's like the episode of SpongeBob with the stupid serum and Karen and Sandy had to make that university.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
why are you bringing these memories back to my head?
The 80s preaching stuff is accessible to children too. Like, so it's not just people who are our age that are in need of a more direct, slap to the face. It's also for children who haven't developed the cognitive functioning to get to this critical inference level. So that's why, like, my kids like it.
Those
they
little
don't get that it's
on their
preaching.
heads, just like they did in SpongeBob, and they need better colleges.
Oh, see, I don't think we need better colleges.
I think we need to eliminate college. People go to college and they're stupider because of it.
Yeah, they go to get brainwashed.
That's why I said we need better colleges. Because at least with SpongeBob, the colleges actually did their job.
Well, we should just basically be like, look,
so.
You're only going to college to be like an engineer or a doctor. Everyone else, we probably don't need you. That's my preferred idea of higher education at this point.
Well, like it used to be that you had to earn your way into college, like with grades and stuff. Like otherwise you went to you had other prospects, like if you didn't get accepted. Now it's like, oh, well, we don't want anybody to feel bad, so we have to accept these people. And like, you know, that just aren't prepared for it and aren't even sure why they're here. And like I wrote a book called Should I Go to College? What About Student Loan Debt? Because I taught college for a while and some people just didn't need to be there, you know, and I can say that.
Johnson,
I mean,
I
can honestly say that I went to college to make my parents happy, not because I wanted to.
Well, that's what most people I think go to college anymore. But and then that's why it's like it's such a big controversial thing. So you don't actually have to go to college if you don't need to go to college. So like if you want to be a doctor, yeah, go to college. But like if you are thinking about starting your own business, you don't need to get your MBA or anything for that. So
honestly, college is run like one of the worst businesses ever. If colleges were held to a standard like how many people actually graduate from your college, then these colleges would be ran out of business because of how
if they weren't
terrible they
subsidized
operate.
either. And like
exactly.
I said, some of the
they couldn't pull their own weight. Yeah, they definitely could never pull their own weight with how colleges are run nowadays, and it's honestly just destroying society, I think, personally.
I have told my kids, like, try to think of something that you'd like to do after high school before you get to the college option. And you know, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. So I'm teaching them some entrepreneur skills this week, actually, because we're doing some fundraising stuff for their school. So we're going out and asking people for money.
Hopefully not in the street. So
no.
I want to inadvertently like run you over one of these days because that'll be a sad way to end
we don't need call it smarter. We need smarter colleges, but we need more gatekeepers on some level.
Yeah. And then again, to look at the way education is going, we probably need to start like elementary schools and work our way up as far as that gatekeeping thing goes too, because there's a
just imagine if all the people taking sociology and gender studies and whatever, just imagine, and I know it's a useless degree in the real world, but just imagine but so is gender studies and whatever. Just imagine if all those people studied history.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that sounds like that's not profound, but it really is though, because it's like if you know history, it's hard to be like, hey, these terrible ideas sound good. You know what I mean? Because there are examples of them not working time and again.
I will say there is a danger to isolating theory from practice, and that's what I see most common in a lot of people. Because like I have a lot of theory, and I can deal with theory. That's why I'm a good novelist, you know. But I took a lot of real world experience to like teach me the actual things about how to actually survive. So there is that. But like I said, I think a lot of the 80s stuff was goodwill. It was wholesome for kids who were growing up. They're good for my kids' ages. Yeah. I still have young kids, you know, and they watch this stuff.
That's why
today's stuff I would never. This stuff I would never. This stuff comes out today. I would never let them watch it, and I don't. So we just started watching the 1990 version of the Superman show from WB.
Yeah,
they love it.
Oh yeah, the animated.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Superman Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah.
So we got done with Sailor Moon and Earthworm Jim, and we're rewatching some Garfield and Friends now because we were worried about our cat.
Yeah,
we did find a cat, so it's okay.
Mine's like passed out in front of me at the moment. I don't want to wake him up because he's having an intense kitty dream.
Yeah, I will say, as somebody that does have kids too, like, please don't look at the world and say I shouldn't bring children into this world. We need more children on some level.
Yes, we clearly need more kids and less adults. I think that
we need that wholesome quality that they inspire back. You know, like you can't tell your kids about certain things, so you kind of tell them in like stories and stuff. That's actually how like Snow White got started. It's actually like a really well a well-written like allegory for menstruation. So
Yeah.
What, Snow White?
Also,
Yes.
make sure your kids are not going into these really creepy shipping communities, because I've seen lots of stories from people on Twitter, like really weird ones, and they were corrupted by them. I was just like, dude, this was not like this when I was a kid, but then again, that was dial-up.
Yeah, and it's a real shame on some level that adults are just taking over children's stuff and trying to make it into adult stuff. Like I get that, like that's kind of the nice thing about fairy tales is that they do look kind of like they hide the truth in some ways, and you get to dig it out, and then you get to redress it up in the ways that you can kind of understand it as an adult. But the obsession and the obsession and the obsessiveness has really got to stop. That's how you know.
Well, Cassie can tell you this because there's a certain female wrestler that we both know who's a little too obsessed with the Disney. And if you know me, I have a very, very strong hatred of people who are in their 30s and who go to Disneyland by themselves to enjoy Disney. I think if you're going with your kids, that's fine. If you're like 35 years old and you're like, I'm going to go on like Space Mountain, I think you need help. I think there's something there that you're not addressing as an adult, that probably some kind of trauma related in your teenage years that needs to be addressed and brought to the limelight. But I think that's not a very helpful thing.
It's infantile to be obsessed with these things. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, going to Disneyland with your friends is one thing too when you're in your 30s. Like that's a different thing too.
Well, no, see, what's the dude's name? Cassie, you know this guy. It's like Gargano, Johnny Gargano. Remember a couple of years ago? Well, this is before they had the kid, by the way, when him and his wife went to Disneyland by themselves in like their 30s, mid-30s.
No, it was their wedding. What you call it? After the wedding.
Honeymoon.
Yeah, that was their honeymoon choice.
That's even worse. That's
you
even worse.
Go to Disneyland for that. You go to Disney World for honeymoon.
No, they went to Disney. Wait, which one? No, I think they might have been to Florida, actually.
I don't understand the appeal of Disney World for a honeymoon.
Disney World is so much fun.
Went to the opposite of Disney World.
Nerdigans, you are begging for an intervention right now. I'm just letting you know that. Next week on the podcast, we're not going to talk about anything. We're going to have an intervention for Nerdigans for Disney World and the shipping communities and get her out of this funk.
Disney World was fun. Like, well, I got to be high when I was in Disney World though. That was a trip, especially
going
on the Winnie the Pooh. Going on the Winnie the Pooh ride, the pink elephant ride, when you're high on weed is so much fun.
Mommy, why does it smell like
if
weed?
You're not high constantly every day, because I'm high constantly every day.
Ma, why is there a skunk around?
Yeah,
right, exactly. So
Jesus, I'll stick to the good old-fashioned amusement park called Knoebels that you don't have to pay $2,000+ to visit.
I think a lot of money now.
But why would you want to be surrounded by children? Again, it's just it's a weird thing for me. Maybe I just don't understand it, but it's like I don't want to be near other people's kids. I know. Okay, again, I'm just
talking about
revealing too much about myself now.
Well, here's the thing with Disney World. Disney World, there's multiple parks you go to. Fantasyland is the main park, and that's mainly for kids, obviously. MGM and Animal. Oh my God, there's Animal Kingdom, MGM, and Epcot is more for adults. And Epcot, you could do so much there. You can go just like go get like liquor from different countries there and just go drink and have fun. MGM is like more thrill rides, and Animal Kingdom has some thrill rides too, as well as, you know, seeing the animals and stuff like that. There's like adult stuff there at Disney World. I would say there's more adult stuff at Disney World than at Disneyland. But at Disneyland, well, that's why you go to California Adventure. California Adventure is where like all the adult stuff is. I will say that.
I will say though, that's, to me as a parent though, that's sad, because when you're a parent, you want your children to have the best stuff, and this is something that's for them more than for me, you know.
Yeah.
So that just makes it worse for me.
No, but I'm just saying there's still stuff for kids, but Disney made it so that there's like stuff for everybody there too. Like for Epcot, like there's still stuff at Epcot for kids too. Like there's like food and stuff like that for kids to eat, but Epcot's more for like the adults to go around and try different food.
Some people go to Disney World and they'll stay like a whole week. If they ain't
I-
nothing for adults, that's like that would really kind of suck.
Sorry, my
That-
headphones went.
My dad's
There's a
girlfriend at
reason
the
why
time
there's
spent the
bars
money
outside of-
for me and my brother to go. So
Dang, lucky.
it
At
was
least it wasn't on your dime.
fun. I got to get so drunk. I got so high because his girlfriend's son was there too, and he brought weed, so I got so high and had so much fun.
What's funny is I have so many Alexa Bliss t-shirts that are like 5+ years old, and I won't get rid of them because the quality of the t-shirts is better than pretty much any t-shirts that come out now. So I'm sticking with them even if I don't feel the same way about Alexa Bliss.
But this is the thing, though, and it's crazy. The community that's really insane is that I've noticed is the Monster High community.
Wrestling.
The wrestling community is nuts, but the Monster High community, they want their toys.
She knows the intricacies of these communities.
Dude, they attack people. Hey, I have to find stories. They attack people. They attack the freaking designers. They attack the voice actors for the show. They attack the actors. It's fucking nuts.
When I was younger, I had like anime like fan accounts to this shit. And when they started pushing like lolly shit, I backed away. I was like, nope. I don't want to be seen with y'all. Actually, it was more so when they rebooted Toonami, I started to realize the type of people you actually do associate with when you involve yourself with the anime community. They're a bunch of fucking incel weirdos that bitch and moan about minute ass little things that make them look like the virgins that they are, and I'm just like, I do not belong.
Okay, we get it. You hate lemonade, Jesus.
So wait. Is this why I have a weird prejudice against people who watch anime as just weirdos?
Well, because there is a lot of people in the anime community that are genuinely fucking creepy. Like they're really creepy.
On which part of the anime community you're at.
Yeah,
and both my brothers love anime. So again, I'm not saying one way or the other. I've just ran into this myself with discourse online. So I thought I would mention that.
The thing is, man, anime can be some of the most thought-provoking forms of fiction out there, period. Like it's absolutely, some of it's absolutely amazing, but you do have to deal with some of these fucking weirdos that are a part of it that they date each other on their through their Twitters because they can't get pussy in real life. That's just what it boils down to because of how awkward and strange they are. They have like this weird tick to them. And what made me realize that is when they did that movie, the Dragon Ball movie that introduced Beerus and Whis for the first time. I went to the movies.
Battle of Gods.
I went to the movies to go see it. I had to be like maybe 18. I was kind of like a bit of a goth chick, and then I was standing in a theater full of fucking dorks, and I realized that I did not belong with these people. I just know. And then the one chick standing next to me lifted up her arm and clearly showed she didn't shave her armpits. So I was just like, I'm scared. I'm scared. That made me realize a lot of things about myself that day, that I did not belong with these groups of people. And since then, I definitely slowly back away from the anime community, even though I do love some anime.
I will say this as someone who did a lot of events for like WonderCon and Comic-Con during like the late 2010s. I did get to a point where I started like looking around at the crowd that was there, and I just said, I don't think I belong here anymore.
Exactly, exactly, dude.
When I went to my first anime convention, that was Crunchyroll Expo. Oh my god, I did not belong there at all, and that was because I was the only person that like knew any of this the stuff they were talking about, because I was the only manga reader there, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like such an outcast in what's supposed to be my own community. It was so weird because I was up to date with Black Clover, up to date with Kimetsu, because this is before Kimetsu no Yaiba came out, because this was in 2018. I was up to date with I was like the only person in the room at the Aniplex panel that knew what Kimetsu no Yaiba even was at the time.
Oh my god.
And I was just like, oh my god, I feel like such an outcast here.
But you know what's crazy though? These are the types of people online that bitch and whine that they're discriminated against or something because they're dorks. And meanwhile, in their own community, I noticed this because I've been involved in this community shit since I was like 17 on Twitter because I wanted to be involved. They constantly like want to create like a monarchy essentially of who's cool and who's not and where you are on the totem pole. Like they do the very same shit that they bitch and whine about that other people do to them.
They create their own hierarchy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Human nature demands a pecking order.
The anime community, especially on Twitter, Twitter. Actually, Reddit is not as bad as it used to be, but Twitter is really nasty. Especially the My Hero Academia community is nasty. The Tokyo Ghoul community is nasty, and the Bleach community is on another level of toxicity. And same with the One Piece community. Those communities
are all shows that I refuse to watch by choice. I just want to throw that out there.
I'm waiting for One Piece to finish before I watch it. That's the rule.
Good luck with that. It's not going to be for at least another few years for the manga. At least.
Johnson just mentioned pecking order, and I just am totally reminded of Dragon Ball Z Abridged with Mr. Popo.
Yeah.
All right, maggots, listen up. Popo's going to teach you the pecking order.
Yeah.
There's the dirt. There's the worms under the dirt.
No,
the
dirt.
The worms inside of the dirt.
But like the original tangent I was going on, that Cassie brought up in terms of quality is something that's been brought up in like the toy community and the anime community as well, is the quality of things have gone downhill since the 90s or 2000s.
They honestly have.
Well, I think there's a lot less passion. There's a lot less passion today, I think, for projects in general. Just from what I've seen, I think a lot of people were really excited. I mean, like even the guy, like I used to really love Pokemon. I play Pokemon Go. That's my only game that I really play. I'm so close to level 40.
I just tried replaying the Game Boy or Pokemon Emerald, and it's like, holy crap! My interest isn't there anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, like,
I just busted my.
You have more.
I just busted my Game Boy out.
Like, I mean, I love my books even, but I still have children to watch, and I have stuff to do around my house, and I have a lot on my plate, and there's not a lot of room for just books. And I love that, and I mean, like, I'm an author, and I say that, you know. Like even today, I was running around trying to get stuff together for the kids' fundraiser that I was talking about earlier. So, I mean, like, it's important to my kids, so it's important to me, and priority shift. So,
a lot of people also don't realize this. A lot of the anime shows out there really aren't for kids. I mean, a lot of people, or these things have.
It depends. Like how anime is structured is specifically age and gender demographics. So,
I mean, if you look at
everybody.
Yeah, true. But I mean, look at Dragon Ball. Everybody says, "Oh, that's a kid show." Bitch, they got freaking tits and shit hanging out in that damn show. If you've seen the uncensored stuff, I mean,
that's why Toonami had it heavily censored.
Oh yeah, they did. I mean, holy crap, they had to. I mean, if they didn't, Funimation would have never been a real thing after a while. But oh my god, you take a look, and then they say Dragon Ball Z is a lot more tame. It's like tame in the nudity aspect, sure, but when it came to blood and violence, oh damn, did freaking Dragon Ball Z go a lot further.
It's not necessarily tame. It's, at least in regards to Super's, like, the best way I could describe it is just that it's more commercialized. Anime,
yes, sadly,
within our lifetime.
The manga for Dragon Ball Super is compared to, like, say, Z. Oh, where's okay, let's do it.
Holy shit, guys. I mean, I'm sorry, because I'm sure when I'm rattling off shit about John Huston or this director or whatever, nobody gives a shit. So it's perfect. It's a perfect moment.
Hey, dude, tell you the truth, I'm nearly 40, and there's a reason that if I'm watching any sort of anime, I'm watching it on my computer, because honestly, it's not really a social freaking thing for me unless I'm talking with people like Cass or Nerdigans and whatnot. It's like I'll talk with the other nerds, but I'll watch it by myself because honestly, it's not something that you want to even get caught watching because they're going to be like, "Why the hell are you watching kid shows?" It's like, oh, your tiny brain just doesn't comprehend reality, does it?
Let me just say this. We've gone on just a complete tangent here in like the last like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
The two things that I've noticed is that I just absolutely love Rob's facial reactions to this entire conversation that we've had over the last 15 minutes. And then for some reason, we got like more viewers watching this now. It's like, I don't know why any of you guys are here.
The algorithm. Algorithm anomaly.
Anime discussion, man. It's always interesting.
DBS sucks. Yeah. I'll fucking agree. DBS does suck.
Good. I like the DBS manga. Yeah. I might be in the minority, but I like the
I like Dragon Ball Super for what it is. I mean, I do like how they're respecting Vegeta more, but for the most part, it's like yes, they actually kind of are.
My thing about Dragon Ball Super is, and this is coming from more of an anime perspective, all of these characters, the main characters' character arcs have been completed, especially Vegeta's. Like, why is it that Vegeta at the end of Dragon Ball, the anime, he admits Goku is the best and he cannot compete with him. He has tried the entire series to directly compete with Vegeta. And at the end of Z, he admitted, yes, Kakarot, you are the best. Why is he in Super in the anime competing with Goku? Like, I don't fucking understand. These character arcs are done. That's why I can't get into it. I cannot stand the Super anime. I'm not going to go out of my way to read the manga to try and justify to me that I need to, I want to like this so bad. No, I don't want to like it because it's just, it has no reason for me to exist, to exist at this point in my mind.
Well, look, we need to wrap this show up or else we're never going to get out of here on time. I will spare all of our viewers. If you are watching us on YouTube, just real quick, go ahead and like the stream and subscribe if you guys want more of this. I don't know why you wouldn't want more of this, but if you do, just go ahead and do that for us. And shout out to TW. Who joined us at the best possible time as well. But let me go ahead and give you guys a chance to promote yourself. You guys joined me for about 2.5 hours here. So I wanted to go ahead and thank you guys for joining us for another Tuesday. So if you guys want to see more of the panel here, let me go ahead and give everyone a shot. I'll start here with Cassie. Where can they find more of you if you want to hear you talk about Dragon Ball Z and Vegeta and all that other stuff?
If you want to watch me rant about Dragon Ball Super, I'm about to probably stream at like midnight over on Twitch, so you can follow me there at Cult Classic Cage, and I'm probably going to start Fortnite. So if you want to roast me for that, where I'll be playing as Vegeta with his giant ass head that is the biggest target in the entire freaking game. Yeah, go for it. But also, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs on YouTube, so if you can, subscribe to me over there. I talk about a lot of shit, if it be mostly video games, but I do talk a bit about anime. I gave my thoughts on the latest Dragon Ball Super movie that dropped, and I didn't hate it as much as they thought it would. So there's my honest thoughts about that. If you want more, it's over there. And Halloween is coming up, so I'm definitely intending to talk a lot about horror on the channel. And we got the Halloween movie that's coming out soon, so that's definitely going to be a big topic of discussion when that drops. And yeah, if you just want to talk shit with me, just follow me over on Twitter, Cult Classic Cage, for everything. Keeping it simple.
You definitely have to be on the episode when we talk about the final Halloween, quote unquote, final Halloween movie.
Final.
Yes. Well, someone who went into the shallows and actually brought her cat back, Nerdigans, who is back with us. So where can they find more than you?
So coming up on my channel, which I cover manga and anime content over at Nerdigans Inc. We are waiting for the latest Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest chapter, which, God, that manga is so good. I'm telling you, Mashima's series have gotten so much better. Oh my God, Eden Zero earlier today was a banger of a chapter, especially in terms of art. Maybe it's because I had to do an article on the crapshoot that is the Eden Zero anime. That art is a bastardization. It needs to die, or at least have a new animator or something, because my God, it is horrible. JC Staff, I hate you so much. I do, with the passion of 1,000 suns. I really do. Boruto came out today. Kishimoto is delivering greatness with that. We have glorified house arrest going on in Boruto manga. We got the start of, we had Meliodas versus Arthur up in Four Nights of the Apocalypse, which was freaking epic. So this week we have, of course, new One Piece greatness. Oda has just been, oh my God, Oda has been delivering greatness every week. We got Jujutsu Kaisen returning. We got My Hero is on. Yeah, My Hero Academia is coming back this week. Black Clover's on a break. And in terms of content for Bounding, we are working on an article where Crunchyroll was kind of based, surprisingly, by saying, screw you, unions. We ain't going to tolerate this. Nah. Yeah, so they've basically recasted the dub actor for Mob and Mob Psycho 100 because he said, we want a union production. And Crunchyroll said no. So they recasted him. So we're working on that right now. Right.
All that talking, you even mentioned you're going to be on the show tomorrow talking about Digimon.
Yes, we'll be on the show talking Digimon. We will.
We'll save that for you a little bit later on. Moving on to someone who probably wishes he was watching the Titans lose by 40 points again right now. Rob Motto, where can they find more of you, Rob? You're muted, by the way.
He's muted.
You're muted.
Muted.
Thank you for that. Digimon, digital monsters. That harkens back to kind of what CS was talking about for selling to your audience and making it simple enough so they can understand. My Twitter there is on the bottom. I talk about movies. We're talking about Don't Worry, Darling next Monday. Who's excited for that? All the drama behind that movie. And I'm going to have another review out this week. It's going to be pretty lengthy. It's on Any Given Sunday, which is about professional football. I'm glad football's back, even if my team's 0-2 and doing terribly. And we really got nothing but terrible movies on the slate. So I'm going to try to find my pleasures where I can. So,
keep in mind
properly, so you won't be that disappointed.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, out of all the crap movies that are coming out, we still have Blonde, which is coming out in the next couple of weeks. So there is something to look forward to there. So. Oh, yeah. Mr. Orange Hat, where can they find more of you? I know you've been working on something. I think you may even have a teaser for a potential mystery review that you want to reveal to us here.
Yes, I do entertainment reviews. I do movie reviews, entertainment news, the controversy stuff. I've been covering some Rings of Power, some Woman King and Ezra Miller lately. I do mystery reviews where I leave some hints for people to guess at. The latest hints are live action and cartoon mix. Now, obviously, there's one movie that comes to mind for everybody, but there are multiple movies that fit that description. But I also do guest choice reviews where I have guests on. They pick the movie, the time, and the date to discuss the film. I have one coming up with Rhetorical Thrill. We're going to be discussing Death Becomes Her on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. So, there's that. And just stay tuned for other live reviews that I do on Fridays after I go to the theaters and watch a movie. The next movie that I plan on watching in the theaters is going to be Halloween Ends. So there's going to be that one.
And maybe we can have you on for that review as well. And then last but certainly not least, if there was only a way we can figure out if this woman had something that she wanted to promote, Miss C.
I know. I know. Yes, if only. So, so actually, there's something I would like to promote this week and next week, and probably the next 3 or 4 weeks after that too. So I have a Kickstarter coming up, and I'm going to put it in the link of the thing. But yeah, so my books here. Actually, I have like a series pack, and I'm doing special covers for them. So give me money, and I'll send you something nice. Other than that, I'm pretty much the resident mom here. So,
I mean, that's a better a promotional tactic right there than we see out of like Modern Hollywood. Give me money, I'll actually give you something nice. If only they did that, they would make a lot more money.
Literally.
Yeah, cue George Takei.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
my.
All right.
Oh my.
Yeah, so we'll have all the links on that one for you guys too. And then let's go ahead and wrap this up by telling you what else we have planned for this week. Tomorrow, myself, Nerdigans, maybe TW, maybe a couple other people who want to join in. We're going to be talking about Digimon. We're going to talk about the first season, Digimon Adventures, the one that started it all, and why that series may not be as good as some of you people may have remembered it to be. So there's going to be some controversial opinions being discussed tomorrow. That's at 7 o'clock tomorrow here on the YouTube and Twitch. And then right after that, we're going to be joining John, Spencer, and maybe Josh on the Black Pill stream. We'll be talking about the biggest stories of the day. I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about She-Hulk. We'll talk a little bit about Rings of Power, things of that nature as well. And then next Monday, myself, Rob, and Rick are going to be talking about the film Don't Worry, Darling, because let's just put it this way. The drama behind the scenes of the film is far more interesting than the film itself is going to be. And that's probably the best teaser I can give you for that film. And then next week, we'll probably be here for episode 17 of the Barroom podcast, where there's going to be biggest stories of the day. And maybe we'll just spend 30 minutes talking about anime just to annoy Rob. So, there's all the things that we got coming up there. So for everyone who joined us tonight, like I said, if you watched us here on YouTube, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. If you're on Twitch, make sure to follow us over there as well. Twitch is slowly but surely growing over there. I think actually posting our videos or our feeds over there, which helped out a lot too. And just go ahead and just thank our whole cast of crew for coming with us here today, giving us a great discussion. So for Rob, Orange Hat, Johnson, Nerdigans, Cassie, thank you all for spending 2.5 hours of your day with us. For everyone in the chat who joined us, I know Duke Nukem, Spencer, Josh, Neo. We had Chirping Critics who was with us earlier today. There was a bunch of other people. Drew, I know you were there. Dre, I should say. I know you were there earlier. TW joined us for a little bit. For anyone who I didn't bring up here, thanks for joining us for another Wednesday night. Until then, we're going to tap this one out. I'm tired. I think you're all tired. Let's go ahead and hit the spring yard so then Josh can mark out in the comments. We will see you guys hopefully tomorrow, but definitely next week, same time. So good night, everybody.
Bye.
Something, you little shit. You're the only reason I still play this music, and you're gonna sit there and just trash our outro music in the middle of the outro. How dare you? Yeah, I can't wait to see you tomorrow, Josh. Back to the outro.